No way. I'm just
All
kidding.
right, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, hi.
Howdy.
Hello.
Really quick
Oh.
shout outs to Sleepy Frisk for this music playlist, which will be on in the background.
Ooh.
And welcome. This is an ominous song to start out with, but welcome
It is.
to my magnum opus in Google Slides. Too much information about Undertale and Deltarune. This is 120 slides. It was 113 this morning. We had to stop eventually.
It's true. I didn't realize that it was 7 slides in like one day.
Yeah, and most of that was my fault. So
Yeah,
I
you added
take
like 6 of them.
I take majority responsibility. Of the 2 creatures below me, the one on the bottom left, a dryad, also helped, and for parts of this is going to help present. I imagine I'll do most of it. We didn't actually discuss which parts we were going to present.
No, my plan, T, is that you take it. It is your baby. This is your magnum opus. And then if you want me to like take over for one slide, just call me out. I will provide. If there's anything I really want to add, I'll jump in, but otherwise I'm leaving it to you.
Yeah. When we get towards the end, we're probably just going to be taking the slides that we made ourselves because they get more specific as we go. For a lot of the recappy stuff, I'll probably just go with it. And then on bottom right is Kaus, who on their channel,
Hi.
a long time ago now, we played through, I think, both chapters of Deltarune, right? Both from 1 to 2.
Oh yeah.
Both and Undertale.
Yeah, both and Undertale. And this slideshow is meant to refresh everyone's memory, as well as show them what they missed personally in their own playthrough. And get everyone back up to date, and then discuss a lot of the community stuff that happened. Because something really special about Undertale and Deltarune is the weird, crazy community that happened in between the chapter releases and all of the stuff that... And we try to, like, indulge in that a little bit with the slideshow. But I think that's all of the Prelude stuff that I have. Do you have anything, Dryad?
No, I wanted to maybe take a second to let Kaus know, like, have no fear. There's 120 slide. I think like half of it is like recap of what we have experienced so far about Undertale Deltarune. So like, hopefully those will go by pretty quickly.
I would say even like 3/4.
We'll just take. It's basically gonna be us taking turns, like pointing at the screen. Oh, I remember that. It's gonna be that for like a little while.
This is going to be.
It's fine.
Dryad joked about it being a 120-page picture book, and it's true.
It truly is. The only thing I will let Kaus, like, guess as a cute little mini game which slides were made by you, which are like the picture books, and which slides were made by me, which has like the sprawling walls of text.
I was about to say, which ones have the spreadsheets?
Ah,
there is one with a spread. There's a table.
There's like 2 spreadsheets, and there's like few diagrams. I think Minty made like one of them, but the rest are me.
Yeah, I fucking knew it, nerd.
All right, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yippee! All right. So first off, before Undertale, Mr. Fox himself didn't actually do all that much video game stuff. He made a couple Earthbound ROM hacks, mostly a music guy, and just did a ton of music. And then, after all this came out, you know, he'd kind of dipped his foot in the water. He decided he wants to make a full game, and so he launches a Kickstarter for it.
Hold on. Before we jump to this, I just want to like highlight just how much of a composer Toby Fox was before this. You go to the previous slide. You have like those 2 little screenshots of like the little hacks and stuff that he did. Those are cute. Those are cool. And then that sprawling screenshot of Wikipedia on the right. That's his discography of all of the music that he made.
It's a little deceptive, because in here, each of these like little entries in the table isn't representative of one song. It's representative of one project that his music appeared in. It's like in this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things in this one table. So, like, dozens of songs and stuff that he composed for before Undertale Kickstarter. And it did pretty well. It did very well. It raised a lot of money. The game came out. It was very good. And you played it, Kels. And the recap of this one's going to be pretty short. Because,
Yes.
I mean, it's not super relevant to the rest of Deltarune coming out, but it's a little relevant.
So, well, you say that now.
Yeah, we'll get there. So you are a child. You fall into a mountain and land on a bed of flowers, but you survive. And from there you have to travel all the way through the underground to try and get to the barrier and convince the king to let you out. And you can either fight your way there, or you can be peaceful. Did you want to say something, Dryad?
I was just thinking, I'm like in the way. Should we move a bit to the right?
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'm blocking the bottom right corner of the slide.
Good point. There we go.
Ah, perfect.
So you get all the way to the king.
Is truly a captive audience.
You get all the way to the king, and then the antagonist from the beginning kills him. But the human souls he collected rebel against him. And if you were nice to everyone, you can go back and help them with tasks in their lives and help resolve loose plot points and tie up all loose ends. And then when you go fight the king a second time, things go differently and all your friends show up, and it results in the future playing out a little bit differently. Azriel Dreamer, who's like this big evil boss guy with backstory that I'm not really going to explain because it's not super relevant.
Very edgy.
He shows up, you beat him, he breaks the barrier separating humans and monsters, and you all get to live happily ever after. But you can be their angel, or you can be their devil. And if you kill instead, then you have to fight the two hard bosses. At the end of the game, you can choose to like erase or not erase the world, but either way, it crashes your game. You can start another game, technically, but even if you do, the game will remember that you did the No Mercy run.
I remember your genocide.
He remembers. And that is the game in a super duper quick recap that ignores basically the entire game. But this game, in my opinion, was as big of a thing as it was because of its characters. And it has a lot of characters, and these are just some of them. These are not all of them by any means. These are the ones I would consider to be like the main characters of the story, and then also Muffet, because there was one more spot in this table.
Well, yeah, a fun fact, Muffet, I believe, was originally a Kickstarter character, wasn't she?
That is true. I put her on here.
That he who will not be named.
Made by who?
The next slide, you'll see him.
Oh, yeah. So, all of these characters, you know them, you love them. Kaus, I'm assuming you're still here. Kaus wouldn't just leave.
Yeah, I'm just...
Okay.
No, I'm listening. I just don't want to, like, interrupt with my rustling around like a little rat in my room.
Okay, you're fine. But all these characters are here, and also Muffet. But what did you miss in the game when you played it through for your first time? Well, the first thing I thought of were there's a couple secret boss fights. They're not really that big of a deal. One of them is like you have to find it in an obscure way and he has a lot of health, and the other one is like you have to set your system date to a specific date to fight him. But they're just kind of neat little side things.
I don't even remember the fish guy.
Yeah, you had to go into a room in Snowden. Do you remember the room where you can find the annoying dog at the end of the game?
Yeah, the dog shrine.
No, that's in...
No?
That is inside of Sans and Papyrus's house, behind their sink counter. There's a room...
Is that not Dog Shrine? Oh no, it's not Dog Shrine.
There's a room with a locked door in Snowden. And if you, like, walk enough in that room, then he appears. But he's annoying to fight and not really fun to fight, so it's not worth it. On top of that, Mettaton kind of has a backstory that we didn't really see in the game, and I think a lot of people missed. So on the left here, you have Napstabluke's house. Do we know the name of the is it like Bapstanuke? It's something like that, isn't it? I have the link here.
I think it's... Oh, geez. I actually don't think we know their name.
Yeah, I don't know.
You mean Mettaton's like original name?
Yeah, I don't know if we know. But
apparently it's Hapsablook, and then it's mentioned by Papyrus at some point.
Oh.
Just with a quick Google.
Okay. Well,
you were on the money.
Either way, you can get into this house across from Napstablook's house, and there are diaries on the floor. And we can read them. We can read them here. Effectively, this ghost wanted to have a particular kind of body and worked with Alphys in order to make it happen. And that ended up being Mettaton. So the soul inside Mettaton isn't just a robot. They do have a monster soul inside of them. And it was like a Napstablook style creature.
Yeah, this is like a recurring theme with the ghost characters. You have the Mettaton, who was originally a ghost and related to Napstablook in some way, who's like inhabiting the body of this machine, Mettaton. And then you have the Mad Dummy, who, if you didn't know, I think we're probably gonna... I'm sorry for jumping ahead as we do this, but the Mad Dummy is also a ghost that has that dummy that you fight in the sewer or in the water, wherever it is, like the dump. And then also in the Switch version takes the form of what was it? Kissy Cutie?
Mad Mew Mew?
Mad Mew Mew, there you go, that's the one. So like there's this common theme of like ghosts trying to find like the right inanimate object to inhabit. And then Napstablook's kind of just like not.
Yeah.
I feel like Napstablook just kind of has the short end of the stick. He like never possesses anything, but he's also just sad all the time.
Maybe that's why.
That might be why. Napstablook just never found the body yet.
I believe
Sorry, we're
after
speculating
this...
now.
Oh yeah, there's Sans' secret lab. So if you are in a pacifist run and you talk to Sans and then save and quit your game a bunch and talk to him over and over, he gives you the key to his room and says, like, everything will be explained there. And you go and it's just a mess and it seems like he's played a prank on you. But in his bedside drawer, you can find another key. And then if you go behind their house, you can enter a secret room. There's a photo album inside that has pictures of... Huh? This is a card sticking out of the back flap of the binder. It's a poorly drawn picture of 3 smiling people. Written on it, "Don't forget." And then there's also...
Don't forget!
There's also something underneath a, like, sheet. And I'm just noticing now, is that not, like, a gray thing poking out of it?
I don't know. I think that's supposed to be on the table.
Possibly. It's hard to tell, right? Because it lines up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If I see that exact 5-pixel cluster in Chapter 4, I'm going to lose my mind. But there's a strange machine that appears to be broken. So there's that. We don't know what that is, but this will be relevant later, so that's neat.
Yeah.
Now...
People...
What were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say people have flipped their minds, theorizing about what the deal is with Sans' like workshop, from when they first saw an Undertale to now. Like it's a mystery that still hasn't been solved.
Yeah, and like still can be solved. It's not just that it's nothing. It was just kind of thrown in there for the goofs and gaffs. So this is something we'll likely see revisited at some point. The elephant in the room of Undertale is W.D. Gaster, which, like, it goes between being a neat thing that's in this game and being a little bit annoying because it's like the secret thing that everyone talks about. But there is a lot here, as evidenced by how many slides there are of this guy in the game. You don't hear very much about him. You know that he was the previous royal scientist before Alphys. But then one day, he fell into his creation, and his life was cut short. And no one knows where he went. No one has found him. It said that he's scattered throughout time and space. And whenever you start a new game in Undertale, your save file is given a number called a fun value between, I think it's 1 and 100, not 0 and 100. Effectively 100 different outcomes. And depending on what that number is, you might run into one of these guys, who each kind of tell you part of that story bit by bit. Same thing here. There is a gray version of Monster Kid in the pier on Waterfall who talks to you, who has a conversation about wondering what it would be like if you lived in a world where everything was the same, but you don't exist. You can bring them an umbrella, and it comforts them. And then they ask you to forget that they ever talked to you. There's also this little clam character, who I'm gonna kind of brush over because we'll talk about them later. It's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The fast travel character...
I mean, if we can talk about these characters for hours. Just these gray characters we could talk about for way too long.
Yeah, there's...
Gaster's influence is everywhere.
It is, but it's also just vague enough that no one really knows. It's a strange situation. The fast travel system in the game, if you remember, is this guy who takes you across the river to one of a few points in the underground. And when he does, he has a random piece of dialogue, and a couple of them we think relate to Gaster for reasons. Beware of the man who came from the other world, which, to be fair, could be a few people. And beware of the man who speaks in hands, which is probably just him, and we'll get to why in a second. We think this is what he looks like. This sprite is just called Mystery Man in the game files. And so technically, again, we don't know. If your fun value is exactly 66, then there's a chance that a doorway will appear in this extra corridor that shows up, and he'll be inside. This is the only...
Yeah, Gaster...
What is it?
Gaster loves the number 6.
He does.
Gaster absolutely loves number 6. If there's anything that involves Gaster, the number 6 is usually in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's just edgy.
And sometimes many of them.
So, we don't even know if he could look completely different and we just don't know, but something's up with this freak in the basement in fun value 66. Just like 1 in 100 chance or whatever you get here. There's this. If you'll remember, in Undertale, and I'm going to pause this actually. I guess I can just mute it here. I guess I'm pausing it after all. If you'll remember, in Undertale, one of the plot points was Alphys was doing unethical experiments to try and find out how to replicate determination in the monster world and get them free without having to use human souls to break out. And she ended up creating amalgamates from monster participants. And that story is related to you through wall terminals. It goes entry 1, entry 2, entry 3, all the way up to in the 20s. But it skips over entry 17. And if you look in the game files, you can find it. And it looks and sounds like this. If you cheat your way to get in there.
I think the common way to do it is to hack your save file.
Yeah, it's a room.
Yeah, a room that you're in.
So, all of this is written in the Wingding font. And it reads entry number 17. Dark, darker, yet darker. The darkness keeps growing. The shadows cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? And that's all we have. So, this is, again, another very important thing that you're going to see show up.
So, some connections I want to make up real quick, T. First off, we assume that this is Gaster because the characters that refer to him by name refer to him by the full name W.D. Gaster, and we believe that the W.D. stands for Wingding.
Right.
Because that's the font that is used in, it connects the font used in this entry, which would be penned normally by the scientist, right? To the character. And secondly, there's some theory about his relationship with Papyrus and Sans, because those would be 3 characters that all at least look like skeletons and all they're all have a font as their name, right? You have Sans, which is representative of either Comic Sans or Sans Serif when Sans gets serious, and you got Papyrus, which kind of speaks for himself.
Right. It is worth noting that the U2 could be genuinely anyone. We do not know.
Mm-hmm. The top theories are either Sans is almost 100% one of them. The second person can be Asgore, Alphys, Papyrus, anyone.
Or like just two characters we haven't even heard of yet. Like, genuinely. It could be
it might not even be characters from Undertale.
Maybe Spamton is here. Spamton is in entry 17.
Spamton and Woody.
By the way, Kels, if you want, you don't have to be muted the whole time. I want to hear your reactions to some of it and answer questions if you have any. But okay, the YouTube audio player might be a
your
little
popcorn.
Oh, this is because Kels is eating, isn't it?
It definitely
Sorry.
is.
I had somebody yell at me to go close an airlock.
Okay.
Oh,
I did actually miss it. I'm so sorry. Like the exact moment.
What did you miss?
Anyways, what's up?
How much did you miss?
Last you were talking about the relationship between Gaster and Sans and Papyrus.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
It's all theory anyway.
Yeah, and I said as well, you don't have to be muted the entire time. I want to hear your reactions to things and answer questions if you have them. But up to you.
I apologize. I have been looking for these goddamn pins. I don't know where they are. It's fine.
True. This one is important. I forget the exact fun value your thing needs to be set to, but you can walk into a particular room at the very beginning of Snowden, and a sound test menu will show up, and it has these very simple songs in it that are just a few notes each. This one's literally 2 notes. This is what happens when I try to make music.
Yeah.
This one's kind of neat.
Remember that Toby Fox, like, renowned
and then there's this one.
Made these songs for sound tests.
There's Gaster's theme as listed. Once you select it, you can't select anything else. And it just plays for a little bit, and then eventually it kicks you out. Thanks for your feedback. Be seeing you soon. Worth noting.
Ominous.
Right, very ominous. Very worth noting. Also, remember that clam person that I kind of just brushed over originally? So this is their full interaction. If you talk to them normally, they tell you they're visiting Waterfall from the city. And they say that their neighbor's daughter looks about your age. Her name is Susie. I feel like you two would be friends. You have a neighbor's blessing. Then, if your fun value is a specific thing, you go through the pacifist route and then go all the way back to this location and talk to this person. You get a special interaction with them. So you never met my neighbor's daughter. But please don't despair, because the time that you will meet her is fast approaching. And then she goes. And this
was, I think, not in the original release either.
No, it was only in the Switch port, which is why I put this here. That was in September 15th, 2018. Come October 2018, we get some weird, vague tweets in all capital letters from a now official like Undertale/Deltarune account that seems to be in character announcing the release of a new game to the world. And like a day later, on October 31st, 2018, Deltarune Chapter 1 came out. Complete surprise. Other than those tweets, there was nothing about it. I know I've told this story on other people's streams, but when this game came out, I was in high school. And I loved Undertale. It was one of my favorite games of all time. And I saw some people, like underclassmen, playing a game that looked like Undertale. They were in the school. And I asked them, like, what game is that? That looks like Undertale. What is it? And one kid went like, Undertale 2 just came out. And so And he was mostly right. So this is just the first chapter came out, and that's all we got of it. Now, it's time for a story recap. Are you ready to see the picture book that we've created?
Yay!
Picture book, yippee! You're asked to make.
Remember all these funny. This is just like when you go on like Facebook and it's like, here's your history. Like, here's what happened last year.
Yeah. So you start off the game and you're asked to create a character. That's this grayscale character. And you go through the whole creation process, and then the game says, you know what? You don't get to choose who you play as in this world. You're playing as Chris instead. You go to school, and you're told that you need to choose a classmate to do a group project, but everyone already has a partner except for Susie, who's the school bully. You both go to the closet in order to find chalk, only to have the floor give way underneath you, and you fall into a pit of darkness. You regroup with Susie pretty quickly afterwards. You're in this like weird, stony, mountainy area. And as you continue forward, you find a hooded figure who says they've been waiting for you. And they have a prophecy to tell you. And this cutscene's really cool, so I've just put it in here. Once upon a time, a legend was whispered among shadows. It was a legend of hope. It was a legend of dreams. It was a legend of light. It was a legend of dark. This is the legend of Deltarune. For millennia, light and dark have lived in balance, bringing peace to the world. But if this harmony were to shatter, a terrible calamity would occur. The sky will run black with terror, and the land will crack with fear. Then, her heart pounding, the earth will draw her final breath. Only then, shining with hope, 3 heroes appear at World's Edge. A human, a monster, and a prince from the dark. Only they can seal the fountains and banish the angels' heaven. Only then will balance be restored and the world saved from destruction. Today, the Fountain of Darkness, the geyser that gives this land form, stands tall at the center of the kingdom. But recently, another fountain has appeared on the horizon. And with it, the balance of light and dark begins to shift. And that is the prophecy. That is the Deltarune. After that, I need to figure out how this player works so I don't accidentally start playing things again. But after that, the hooded figure immediately gets ran over by a kid on a bike. It's Lancer. And you fight him.
Yay!
You get done with the fight. The hooded figure introduces themselves as Ralze. After that, Susie just leaves. They don't want anything to do with the prophecy, so they go on ahead by their own. Ralze teams up with you, and you go out this big grand door that's open. And Ralze says that, like, there is a prophecy, and things are going to play out a certain way. But your choices matter too. Your choices are important, according to Ralze. You go through the dark world. Eventually you find Susie again. She's forced to join up with you, reluctantly. You find Lancer again, and fight him kind of back and forth. He's very childish. He has a very childish understanding of like enemies and good guys and bad guys, and it's very fun. And eventually Susie says, well, screw this. I'm going to go join Lancer's side. That sounds more fun. That sounds more my speed. You create a machine in order to thrash your own ass, as described. But then eventually, Susie and Lancer both come around, and you all kind of join on the same team and are going towards the king's castle, which is Lancer's father. All of a sudden, he starts running away, and as you approach the castle, you get captured. As you can see, you have the option to eat moss, and of course, why would you not? Look, you're eating moss right now. Easy.
Delicious.
Susie manages to get out and faces Lancer head-on in combat. But before killing him, Susie misses her last shot and says, "Fine, we'll try and talk to your dad, and we'll do it peaceful style. We'll be nice." You then get let out of jail, and you work your way up Card Kingdom. You meet Rules Card, who is like the puzzle master of the king, who creates a box puzzle where you push a box one square to the left and solve it. You refight this little checker crown guy. You fight the king, and you win at the end. It looks like you're about to lose, but then everyone, if you were nice, all of the monsters show up and carry the king away. If you fight enemies instead, Rousey will cast Pacify and just make the king go to sleep. You talk to Rousey, and Rousey takes off their hat, and they have a whole different sprite. They have an alt form based on whether or not they put on their hat, I guess. We don't really know the mechanics of this. And then after that...
Well, he puts on his hat later.
Does
I
he?
think it was just a chapter 1. Yeah, I think it was just a chapter 1 thing. I don't think we ever see Dark Rousey again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a Dark Rousey truther. I believe in that chapter 1 design.
I mean, Dark Rousey slapped, but I mean, it did its purpose. I'm cool to let it go.
Sure. After that, Susie and Chris go up to the Dark Fountain, and using the power of Chris's soul, they seal it. You go back, and when you wake up, it's in the unused classroom. Pieces are scattered everywhere. There's like cards and chess pieces, and even the little plushie that is a shopkeeper that you find. And you leave, and it seems like Susie's warmed up a lot to you, and they want to go back the next day. You can go visit Noelle's father, who describes to you that they're in there because they found something weird on some tests, but he's going to be out in no time, surely. He'll be fine. You go to bed.
Fucking cancer.
Yeah, he's super dead, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You go to bed.
Oh, man.
And then Chris wakes up, pulls out their soul, and throws it into this birdcage. If you use the arrow keys here, you can actually wiggle around in this cage, but Chris acts independently of you as they pull out a knife. And with that,
oh my God,
the chapter ends.
Killing. Everyone was like, Chris is evil?
Yeah, Chris, evil arc begins. And I get it.
Yeah.
But we have more chapters now. That being said,
oh yeah,
when you first played this, you did not do the secret encounter, which is Jevil. If you go and talk to a prisoner stuck at... What is it?
Huh? Oh, I have not seen this man, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to the basement of Card Castle, you meet a freaky little creature who tells you, I'm trapped in here. But he thinks that, the entire world is trapped. Yeah, everyone else is trapped.
He's a very funky dude.
But he still wants to be let out. He's still confined. But he gives you a piece of a key. You can go to a shopkeeper and he gives you another. You solve a couple puzzles in the overworld and you get the other 2. And then you combine them all into one big key and you can go in and fight him. And after you beat him, he just kind of disappears and goes away and you get a weapon, depending on whether you fought him or whether you spared him. One of his lines is, "For now on, a nightmare will awaken in your hearts," which we'll probably talk about later. These are the characters.
Full, really interesting lines.
These are all of the characters in Deltarune Chapter 1. You have Chris, Susie, Noelle, Birdley, Rousey, Lancer, Rules Card, King, and Shovel. Which one was it?
Birdley.
Birdley.
Counts as a Birdley hater.
It's okay.
I fucking am.
You're going to like some of the slides later then.
Oh yeah.
From there's also a lot of Undertale characters that came back. So who all came back? Well, Toriel did, Napstablook did. I should go through each of their roles in the game. Toriel is just your mom. Toriel is Chris's mother. Napstablook is a part of the police force. Sans runs a general store, and his house is also, like, the same. Papyrus isn't in the game, but he's mentioned by name, by Sans. And he says, like, hey, can you go and help baby...
I actually...
Oh, he doesn't. He just says my brother.
Name. He just says my brother. He never mentions Papyrus by name. But it's very heavily implied that it's him. Because you can go to the door where Sans would be and where his brother is supposed to be, and you can hear a trussle of bones, which is meant to reference Papyrus's like battle theme in Undertale, which is Bone Trussle.
So he's not mentioned by name, but he's very heavily implied to be around. And we don't know if it's him. I think my insane crack theory is maybe Papyrus just isn't real.
He's just like a figment of Sans' imagination.
What if he's like his pet rock? See? Me and Kaus are on the same page.
Don't add a new slide for that.
Undyne is like the chief of the police force. Alphys is one of the two school teachers. Asgore runs a flower shop and used to be a member of the police force, but something happened and now they got, like, fired. Asriel is a part of the Dreamer family. They are Toriel and Asgore's son, presumably. And are said to be coming back at the end of the week. They are mentioned by name.
Yeah, they're returning from college.
They're all grown up, but we do not see them physically. We hear a couple things about them, but not very much. And then all of the red here are all the characters who didn't show up.
Pizza Pants.
And then I have the lightest amount of tiny bit, like, adjusted, not quite all the way red for Kara because the shirt is the same. And there's a page on the Fangamer website where the shirt says, like, an important person's shirt, and it's on both the Undertale page and the Deltarune page, but it's probably nothing. So it's still red.
I also want to put up an honorable mention. You won't know this for sure until maybe chapters 3 or later, but there is a character that's in one of the houses that is implied to be like a pair of characters that are implied to be the Mad Dummy and Metaton or Hapstablook, what you want to call them. So they show up as a very minor, like, you talk to them once, you never see them, they never mention their name, but it's kind of implied to be them.
But not as Metaton. They could be like a different whatever they were before. They could be something entirely different.
Yeah, they're...
Until I see the Metaton.
Yeah, you're right. But until I see that beautiful square robot face.
Right. All right. What's next? Right. Then there was a very, very long drought. Because from that day all the way until September 15th, 2021, there was just nothing. And then on the 6th anniversary of Undertale, they decided they did a live stream called Undertale 6th Anniversary, so we played Deltarune Chapter 1 for some reason, live. And I've timestamped this. It says they get to the end, and everyone even leaves the couch, and it says to be continued. And it's dark for a long time.
Very dark. Darker yet darker, even.
Some may say. Continue to Chapter 2. And there's they keep going. There's like the first 5 minutes of Chapter 2 gameplay. And the game came out literally 2 days later. It was again a crazy shadow reveal that no one saw coming. And 2 days later, the entire, Chapter 2 came out. Chapter 1, if you'll remember, was about 8 slides, I believe. 8 or 9 slides. Chapter 2...
9 if you include Jebel.
Chapter 2 is 30-something slides. It was a much longer, much meatier chapter. I distinctly remember after Chapter 1 came out, people were speculating a lot about the game, but there was also a sense of, this is one part out of 5, possibly 7, so we can't really guess too much. But Chapter 2 adds so much that people are still squeezing the juice out of it to this day, even as more is about to come out. I'm realizing now I never put my music back on. I'm so rude.
I should have.
Okay, but
I was too enamored in listening to you talk.
That's a good sign. So with that, we have, from here is the Deltarune Chapter 2 recap. You go to school the next day. Alfie says...
We'll have to blaze through these.
Yeah, Alfie says work on your school project. You, bump into Noelle, and she says, alright, I'm going with Birdly, and we'll be at the library, so meet us there. You go, and there's a dark world.
Yeah.
And when you jump in...
And if it's not obvious by now that Noelle has it, crazy down bad for Susie, if you did not pick that up from Chapter 1, Chapter 2 makes it, the most obvious thing in the world.
There's so many lesbians, it's great.
Yeah, so people joke that Toby Fox only knows how to write one relationship.
Lesbianism.
I like women.
You meet Noelle, who is part of some weird freaky scene here, and then gets captured by this monster here in the center of the throne. Her name is Queen, as you can see by the helpful diagram here. She runs away, and you're saved by Relze, now in their new alternate white form. Hijinks ensue, you fight Queen and Punch Out, and that happens. You meet 3 robot friends. The worst song in the game plays, and you leave that fight.
I'll fight you. Also, you're right. I'm realizing that Relze doesn't actually put the hat back on.
Yeah. That's why, what if... the implication, right, is that it's the shadow of the brim of the hat that does that. There's a Final Fantasy character that does that. It's a very niche trope, but it's my favorite character design trope in the entire world. So I'm very biased.
I see. Never mind. Please, go on.
You get on roller coasters, and Queen summons Noelle to try and beat you up. However, unfortunately, let's begin. And so it doesn't work out, and so she summons in her alternate pick, Birdly, in the Birdly cart. You fight and you win, but the roller coaster isn't finished at the end, so you just go flying off. You end up in a trash heap, and Susie jumps out but sprains her ankle. Relze helps to heal Susie and says, oh, well, I can teach you the healing magic if you want as well. You meet my favorite character, Newbert, who everyone loves and lives in the trash.
Everybody loves him.
Everyone loves him. You get to a fork in the road, and Relze asks the player where they want to go, whether they want to go with Susie to the right or Relze to go up. And instead, Susie just runs away and takes Relze's hand and takes the choice away from you. So you push forward, and you find Noelle. But then Queen shows up, and so she has to go hide in an alleyway. And then Birdly shows up, so Queen goes to hide in an alleyway because he's annoying. So Queen gets out and says, alright, fine, look, you hide me from Birdly, and look for Noelle, and we will have truces. You go and do a puzzle, which I included here for reasons that will become obvious later, where Noelle has to be scared by a mouse, and then you have to direct the mice to go into the right hole based off of where a block is. You find an advertisement for a Ferris wheel, and Noelle wonders about how nice it would be if Susie would want to go on that with her. It's very sweet. She creates a disguise of a robot. And it's a cardboard box hat that she wears, and it does work, for the record. You run into Birdly again, and you fight him, but you win, and he's very self-congratulatory, fine, I guess you need to save your strength ahead. You keep going forward, and Queen shows back up. Noelle puts her disguise back on, you get in the car, and eventually you have to get out, and Queen says, you go out on your own, and the robot can stay in here and clear up the traffic jam. When you leave, you run into everyone's #1 rated salesman 1997, Spamton G. Spamton. And you have a fight with him, and you do dialogue with him, and eventually he tells you that he'll be waiting for you in his store, effectively, in his shop. You continue,
I think, House, you never went there.
House never went there, and so it's a slide later. You effectively get out of the car, and Queen says oh, it's a shame we didn't find Noelle, look for her, and then she leaves, and then Noelle takes her disguise off. Then you do a puzzle, And while doing it, Noelle reminisces about her sister, Des, her older sister, and reminisces about a time when they explored a forest behind the graveyard, and it was scary, but she was comforted during it, and she really didn't mind because of that. She seems to have very fond memories of Des, and we don't really know what happened, but she's speaking about her in the past tense, right? Des always told me she'd take me somewhere with shining lights. You continue forward, and you meet up with Susie and Ralsei again. And now the whole gang is here. Susie's here, Ralsei's here, Chris is here, Noelle is here, even Birdley shows up. You go to the next room, and then Queen captures you all. Except for Ralsei. You're captured in your room, which is supposed to be the user profile on the library computers, which I think is very fun. And in order to get out, you have to use Lancer as an item. You deploy him, and he lets you out. A tactical Lancer incoming. You go, everyone gets out, Birdley joins you. Lancer isn't feeling so good, so he hops on Susie's back. Birdley talks to you about a time where he was in a spelling bee. And they got to the very last question, and the last word was December. And Noelle froze up, so he was able to win. And since then, he's been seen as, the class smarty pants, but really, Noelle is the one that does a lot of that work, and he feels insecure because of it. And Susie is a little bit nice to him, and, slightly reassuring in a mean Susie way. And so there's character development, there's growth. You meet back up with Ralsei, and as you do ask Ralsei to heal Lancer, but he's turned into stone. Ralsei explains that when Darkners are outside of their own native Dark Fountain, with the exception of Castletown, the area in the middle where it's the main hub world, they turn into stone because they're not supposed to be there. And Ralsei also explains, okay, well that's fine, just bring him back to Castletown and he'll be okay. You keep pushing forward, and you have to fight through Queen's Mansion. Eventually you split up. Susie goes to look for Noelle, and you go with Ralsei on this little swan acid duck ride. Ralsei talks to you about how they always just assumed that making friends meant being nice to people, but really being friends is more than that. It's about being yourself and authentically you. And you say to Ralsei, or at least you can, that it's nice that Ralsei is Ralsei, and it's a sweet little moment, right? Then you find Rules Card again, and he's in the little machine you made to beat you up earlier. And you play a turn-based, house capturing tile game.
Yeah. You play Monopoly.
This is a crazy game of Monopoly. You use the houses. But you win. He uses his ultimate move, but then turns into stone, because he's like Lancer, he's not supposed to be here. Meanwhile, you cut to the perspective of Susie, who has found where Noelle is being kept and rescues her, and tells her, you know what, this is all just a dream, you don't have to worry about it. And she says, alright, well let's go get out, and they walk to the right, and the heart-shaped Ferris wheel is there. And so they both get in, and they have a conversation. Susie asks if Noelle could do something crazy, what she would do, and Noelle says she'd jump out the window, she'd grow big angel wings, and fly as far as she could, gazing back at it all. Susie, jumps off of a ledge, effectively, and lands on top of Ralsei, and rejoins the party. After that whole interaction happens. At which point, you immediately fight Queen. Queen captures Birdley and has his face in this little machine thing. You beat Birdley, and then Queen kind of runs away and goes up further up the path. And so you, Susie, and Ralsei go up to meet her. She describes that who she calls the Roaring Knight is the one that opened up the Dark Fountain, that turned the computer lab into this whole entire world. And if everyone has the determination required to open one of those fountains, then they should just make more of those. And so they have Noelle here in this Christ-like cross position.
Yeah. I also want to jump in for a second, because if you go a few slides back, you have that heartwarming, the Ferris wheel scene, which is like meant to be heartwarming, but like I don't know, like Kals, I don't know if you catch, but like anytime anyone has been like, if I could do anything, I'd grow wings and leave. Like, oh, that has great implications about their current living situation.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the party frees Noelle. But instead of Noelle tells him like you need to run away because there's a giant queen mech. And you fight her, and she immediately like stomps the ground and you fall down. But Birdly is there on the Birdly coaster. And all of your friends are here if you were nice to them, and you assemble a machine, and using that, you fight Queen in like in a Punch-Out style situation as a callback to the earlier Goofy thing that happened. You win, but she uses a detachable hand to destroy your mech at the last second. And tells Noelle, create a dark fountain, use the pin I gave you, and plunge it into the earth and make one. And Noelle says no, I leave my friends alone. So Birdly shows up and he's like, alright, well fine, I'll do it, and I'll make a world in our image for us. And Rousey says, don't do that, are you stupid? Do you realize what will happen if you do that? You'll break the roaring. Then, Rousey adds on and elaborates to the prophecy, which he probably should have done before, frankly. He says, when the light is subsumed by shadow, when fountains
he saved this part of the prophecy specifically because he wanted to make Birdly look dumber in this chapter.
True. Rousey elaborates, when the light is subsumed by shadow, when the fountains fill the sky, all will fall into chaos. The Titans will take form from the fountains and envelop the land in devastation. The surviving Darkners, crushed by the darkness, will slowly one by one turn into statues, leaving the Lightners to fend for themselves. Queen responds, oh damn, I did not know that. And so she just lets you go and says like, alright, well fine, then seal the dark fountain then.
Yeah,
and
her whole thing was making Noah happy.
Right. She was very controlling, but ultimately wanted to create a dark fountain in order to create a world where everything could be perfect for Noelle. Even if it wasn't what she wanted, even if it wasn't healthy. But after learning like it would literally just kill everyone, she's like, alright, well fine, just close the dark fountain then. I guess I'm nice. And so, with that, you go up and you close the dark fountain. In town, you go back home and Susie's starting to leave, but Toriel, seeing you two, is like, oh, well, your friend is here, why don't you stay over for the night? And you two go start to make pie, and then Chris goes into the sink to wash their hands for the pie, turns on the sink, locks the door, and then takes out their soul again. Ooh, cool music transition. They take out their soul, throws it into the cabinet, walks out the window. You hear Susie and Toriel talking, but you don't actually, like, you don't hear what Chris is hearing. Your perspective doesn't change at all from here. Sometime later, Chris jumps back into the window, takes the soul back out of the cabinet, and, like, puts it back inside themselves. At this point, Chris and Susie go to sleep on the couch, and Toriel is seen making a phone call to the police station because they thought they saw someone prowling outside, and when she checked her car, her tires were slashed. She asks an officer to come over. At some point later, she also goes to sleep, and then afterwards, and I'm going to stop the music again, Chris pulls out their soul again, stuffing it between the couch cushions, grabs a knife, and creates a dark fountain right in the middle of the living room, also making sure the door is unlocked. Darkness starts to fill up the room, and everyone's still asleep for it. Chris takes their soul, puts it back in, and the TV in the middle of the room shows up with static, it turns on, and then a smile creeps across the TV. And that...
Smiles.
...was Chapter 2. Yippee. Surprisingly, not that many new characters in this one. Like, Dark World Noelle, Dark World Broly. I feel like an anime fan for classifying those as different characters.
For the different characters, Super Saiyan though. You also forgot No Hat Rousey.
Well, no Hat Rousey was in Chapter 1.
I guess that's true.
But that is all of Chapter 2. It was 38 slides. It was exhausting to make, and I hope that the like children's book style representation of that was fun. I believe very
emergent. It's like we just played the whole chapter real quickly.
Yeah, right. And like skipped a ton of stuff. This is very
my favorite
condensed.
scene. You skipped the part. You skipped the part where Toriel says hell.
I had skipped Cheriel. Cheriel could be a character. There's room for Cheriel in this chart. All right, Callus, I think you would like this part of the presentation. I don't know if you're still here. I assume you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I've been listening the entire time.
Yeah. Congratulations!
Transition!
Yippee!
Yay!
Congrats on the making it through the slideshow so far. Yippee!
Yeah. I'll give you a guess, Kals, as to what that meme originally said.
Divorce?
Yeah, it was divorce.
How did you know?
Yes!
Kals posted about this.
Oh,
Kals posted the cake
you're right.
of Spamton as the divorce mascot.
Oh, right. Divorce mascot. I forgot that was Kals that posted that.
Yeah. So all of this
Damn.
stuff is meant to be, because we've just thrown so much information at you over the past hour, right? All of this is just nonsense, funny, non-canon stuff. Starting with concept art. The concept art
before we go into the intermission, I just want to like make sure Kals has like a second to like process what had went on, or if there's anything that you feel that you super missed, we can like touch back on, because like T, you and I, that's basically like all the mainline stuff, right? That's like the game. If you just like skip through all the optional dialogue and you just rush through the plot and mostly like get a gist of what is going on with the Dark Worlds and stuff and the prophecy, all that classic RPG mumbo jumbo. We're gonna, we'll dig a lot into like a lot of the themes and theories and stuff following this, but just want to make sure that Kals was cool with what they saw so far.
Yeah, I mean, I played through the games, so all of it was a good reminder of what I played.
Okay, awesome.
Sick. All right.
I'm not lost yet.
That's good.
All right, cool.
This game, I think...
if you were already lost, I'd be very scared.
Yeah. This game has some really beautiful concept art, IMO. Very, very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I love how it looks. We get an early storyboard of the prophecy cutscene. It looks very similar to how it is in the actual end game. We have some concept art for Chapter 2, which all looks great. I couldn't even fit it all on the slide. There's a lot. We get concept art for Chapter 3, but just a little bit, because that one isn't out yet. But look at that. That looks so fun. The third one is, like...
Ooh.
We already pretty much knew this because of the end of Chapter 2, but the third one is going to be taking place in a TV world, almost certainly. If Chapter 1's Dark World was based off of cards and tabletop game stuff, and Chapter 2's was based off of computers, Chapter 3's is going to be based off of a TV. There's also concept art made by Toby Fox that he just effectively sends to his artists. But they are very funny. And so I've included them here.
What is Susie doing in, like, the upper right corner?
I assume that's
I think petting Rouse. The
upper right corner? Oh, as in this one? Or this
you mean
one?
The one... That
this
one.
one?
The one where Susie looks like she's dipping her hand in blood.
Oh, I assume that is, like, a punchable at a church. This is like the blood of Christ that you sip from. Or maybe it's like a festival. It could be either one. Who knows? Maybe this is also she's drinking the blood of Christ.
Fantastic gamer moment. Oh my god.
Yeah, Susie the Sadie Hawkman's dance.
There's more.
Well, what I'm curious is what.
This is great.
Curious about what Chris and Rouse were doing in the middle top, like holding the sword together or whatever that was.
I don't know.
I assume that was like the Star.
Yeah.
That's like the Star Wars pose where they're both holding a lightsaber.
Oh, that makes sense.
I assume that's like it's some
those
sort
two
of
are definitely in a
referential.
relationship.
Those two, Chris and Rouse.
I don't know their genders.
Yeah, well, that's
not
not
you see.
that's not the main problem
Very
here.
You're.
Oh no. You cut out.
All right. What?
You cut out for all of that.
It cut out.
Or did I cut out?
What?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
No, you're
No.
I heard most of what Kals was saying.
fine. Okay.
Gaster came in, made our stream darker.
There's this, which I like a lot. My favorite Birdly portrait comes direct, is traced over this effectively. Which it couldn't have been any other
tell
way.
That Toby told the. You can tell Toby told the artist I want Birdly to look exactly like this. I love the top right.
Yeah, the Birdly nutting emote.
That's like rage comic,
It really is. I'm excited for the Susie M expression. If we ever get to see that. Maybe that's Rouse.
That's Rouse.
I think it's Rouse because of the glasses, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I assumed it was big baggy eyes.
This is what happens to characters when they get near Pizza Pants.
This was I think a year or two before Undertale came out. He did sketches of these characters. He had the idea for this game for even before Undertale came out. There's also some merchandise that I think is funny. There's this one of Papyrus behind a tree that made people lose their minds for reasons that will become relevant later. There's the important person's shirt, which is noteworthy for being both in the Undertale collection and the Deltarune collection.
Tutorial's kitchen oven mitt.
Yeah, the oven mitt. You don't see the other side of it.
That is my favorite piece of merch.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're just advertising now. We're just advertising.
We are just advertising. The prices on everything just recently went up a week ago, by the way. So we're a little late to the punch.
I'm almost certain. I mean, okay, actually, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
I put these pins here to emphasize the point that there's very deliberate decisions made about what merchandise is made of. There are only things made in Deltarune of Dark World characters or people's Dark World designs. These are the only things, I believe, that have Chris or Susie in them, are these pins, and it's their Dark World designs. So that it's a very deliberate choice. Yeah. This is a little bit out of order, but on Valentine's Day one year, they made some fake Valentine's Day cards, and this felt like the best place to put those. So I'm not going to necessarily make us read through all of these. I like the Birdly one where he says that if you fail his IQ test, you'll lose ELO. There's this one.
Oh my god, look at Queens.
I like Queens.
I like shoot you with hearts. There's this one. There's Metatons.
Look at Metaton!
Metaton! You can tell by these designs, by the way, that for the ones with Alphys or with Toriel, that they're intended to be from the Undertale world, because they use the Undertale art.
Right. It's also the way that these were delivered, were that if you were on the mailing list, you received 3 of them at random. And so there were 20 something, and people just collected all of them. Right? There's also this one, which we're not reading all of. The point... It's probably... we pretty much know who this is, more or less. And
people will fight you over that.
And they will, and I'll win. But, you don't have to worry about it. The main thing is that it's a completely new character. This is not a Mr. Winggaster. This is a new guy that we're probably going to find in the next chapters. May or may not be the person behind the tree. Probably is. Probably also the person, the weird smiley face person we'll talk about later. Actually, I don't have a slide for them. All right.
The important thing is that there was an incredibly rare chance, if you're on the mailing list, that one of your letters would be this insanely long letter, not addressed from anyone, that looks like when everyone saw that, they suspiciously thought that it was like Gaster talking to them because of the all capital text and the mysterious nature of it. But then like people reconsidered like the way he speaks and everything. So the jury is out on who this character is.
Yeah, allegedly the Japanese version of this letter, the way like the speech pattern is even less Gaster than normal.
Yeah.
It also.
You would be surprised at how much you know about Deltarune and Undertale because of the Japanese translation.
But I'm not getting into this one. I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though. We're sorry that happened. Anyways, we're back. Chapter 2, what did you miss? This is technically also a Chapter 1 thing. In both chapters, if you walk between two specific rooms, like the transition between two specific rooms, there's a rare chance you'll show up in a room with a single tree in it. And if you go behind it, you can interact with an NPC who says like, well, there's a man here. He looks happy to see you. And then answer yes or no, and if you answer yes, you get an egg. You can keep this egg, and then if you go to the overworld, you can place it somewhere, different in each chapter. In Chapter 1, it is Asgore's fridge in the basement of his shop, the Flower King. In Chapter 2, it is the store on top of all of the other eggs in the store that Sans works at.
I love that one because Susie looks at you and she's just like, did you reverse steal that egg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here are the start of slides that Dryad made originally. I don't know if you want to present these.
Oh, sure, yeah. So, additionally, like, it's theorized, but in basically every chapter, we're probably going to see some secret boss. You fought Spamton before, but Spamton, if you went to his shop, he gives you a little side quest. He mentioned that there's this key gen or some special empty disc in the basement of Queen's Mansion, and he wants you to bring it back to him. So, he gives you this little side quest. It's very important, by the way, that when this happens, you are alone. Like, you intentionally go in by yourself. You asked Susie and Rouse to stay behind, or at least it's implied that you asked them to stay behind. Or that Chris asks them to do it. But once you go to the basement, once you go to Queen's Mansion, if you buy the key gen from Spamton, you can get through and find this disc. It becomes very dark and eerie, very spoopy, compared to like the whimsical nature of Queen's Mansion. And then you come back up, and then there's like a cute little scene once you like return to like a nicer place, of like Susie being kind of dweeby with Rouse taking his glasses, which can have lore implications even by themselves, but we're not going to go over that. Anyway, you give Spamton the empty disc, and he like Super Mario absorbs himself into the disc. It seems tells you to put it back, and then the shop is gone. You can see the empty store on the bottom right. Like there's no more sun. It's just an empty store at this point. Show the plates. What plates?
As part of the Toriel oven mitt thing, they created plates, and it's like Toriel dishware. It's also very cute.
I will put a link. Oh no, I can't. I don't know if I think I'm not allowed to put links in T's chat.
Probably not. It's on Fangamer. You can find it. Look up Undertale Toriel. Google Alexa. Google Undertale Toriel plate. Alexa. Google Undertale Toriel plate. Hey Xbox. Google Undertale Toriel plate.
Hey Google. Google Toriel Undertale plate. What?
Xbox turn off.
Xbox turn off. Now Xbox turn on. Now Xbox Google Undertale Toriel plate. Alright, sorry for interrupting, Jayad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Alright, so you put the disc in, and it gives you a fake out for one screen where like nothing happens. And then Spamton Neo shows up with a big pink and purple wings, and he's like he kind of reveals his purpose. He wants to like become truly free and like become big because he wants to be a big shot. And it's clear that he doesn't really know what that means because he can't see anything. He says that he's still trapped. He still can't see. He's like blind. And he concludes that he needs Chris's soul. So he attacks you. Susie and Rouse show up to kind of save you in the nick of time. And then you go into this battle, which introduces a neat mechanic, if you remember, Kaus, that when your soul turns yellow, you can shoot these cute little bullets that happen when you fought Mettaton and Undertale, and it comes back only for this specific boss fight when you fight Spamton Neo. And then you either beat him up, or you cut all his strings, and he basically acts like a marionette. He's like a puppet on strings, which is a very important metaphor later. And then you beat him up, you remove the strings, he becomes worthless again, and just like Jevil, he gives you the armor or the weapon depending on how you beat him, and he also gives you a very important item called a Shadow Crystal, which is also something that Jevil gives you, but we kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, I forgot. I'd also like to point out, I didn't have this in the slideshow, but do you remember in the Undertale Genocide route, Mettaton technically showed up? It was right at the end where he's like, I have my super evil, cool human killing model, and I'm going to strike you down. Mettaton Neo, and then you kill him in one hit, and then the Sans fight is right after.
Yes. There are some theories that because they're called Neo, that this was because you could talk to SWAT. We're going into like theorizing territory about this, but if you talk to the shopkeeper in Queen's Mansion after having this fight, he mentions that the robot that Spamton takes over is like was like a Leitner's dream painted over with like a paint program essentially, because Swatch is meant to represent like paint, like MS Paint or something. And so it's like kind of implied that this design is based off of like a body that Mettaton or some ghost character would want and then kind of like got scrapped or corrupted.
Right. My point is that at least on a symbolic kind of content level, this is like the Mettaton Neo fight that we didn't really get. It's very neat. I like it. And that was all that was in the game.
Weird, baby.
That was all that was in the game when it came out.
No, it wasn't.
On the day that it came out, everyone was like, that's a good game. You did a good job. And that was it. And then the day after, there were murmurings in Discord channels. Because if you'll remember, this game does only have one ending. You can be nice or fight people and it'll change things a little bit, but no matter what, Chris opens that dark fountain in his living room at the end of Chapter 2. Chapter 1 also ends the same. And so when people
Fun fact, if you like fight Queen and Burley in the last fight, Burley ends up like losing like the use of his arm. He like fries his arm trying to escape. So
it changes things a little bit.
There's one ending, but there's still consequences. Yeah.
There's consequences, but it doesn't like dramatically change things. So people started finding out the day after it came out, if you go up through the game up to the point where you get Noelle in your party, then immediately backtrack and fight enemies and use Noelle's Ice Shock move as the killing blow, they will stay frozen. Normally, even if you fight them, they just run away at the end. And so it's like they got away, you didn't really kill them. But with this, they're dead for good. So you go through, and you do that for every single enemy that you have access to, backtracking as far as you possibly can. You keep going forward, Lancer is asleep. I didn't know about this. Dryad made that slide.
So what's important is that this becomes very dark very quickly, and so many people were like, we have Lancer in our pocket, like what does he think about this? And then you open it and it says here, innocent boys are fast asleep, which is that's just peak from Toby.
You go up to this salesman here
for the entire weird route, as it's called.
Right. You go up to the salesman here, who offers you a ring, and in the normal route, he also offers you a ring. And you can either say, like, we're gonna get it, and then it'll be $1 more than you need, or you can say, like, we're just friends. And if you say we're just friends, Noelle will comment, like, I'm kind of glad to hear Chris say that. But in the weird route, you have to say we're something else. And then when he offers you the ring, it'll be $1 more than you have, and you have to insist over and over that you get it. Until eventually, the screen will go black, you'll hear the noise of Noelle's Ice Shock ability, and when the screen comes back, the salesman is gone, and you have the ring. You keep going forward, There's a puzzle where one person has to stand on this little electric thing and let the other person pass. Noelle comments to herself in her own head, like, I'm kind of messed up for thinking that maybe I should walk off as he's right in the middle. And you, as the player, can respond to her internal monologue to say either it's horrible or it's natural.
Fun fact, for a lot of those interactions, like with the salesman, where you have to say we're something else, anytime you deviate from that, the route, this weird route, this like dark route, ends immediately. If that ever happens, you get like a little sound cue, and you kind of like go back to normal. Everything goes back to normal. All the enemies show up again. You still kind of lose them, so you can't recruit them anymore if you like froze them. But they still show up, and you kind of just have like a normal like back to the happy path.
Right.
This one is kind of interesting though, because in this one scenario where you get the choice to say either it's natural or it's horrible, it doesn't actually matter which one you choose, because the point isn't that you think it's natural or horrible. The point is that you psych Noelle out into realizing that you can like hear her thoughts. And also you can see like her in the bottom left corner, you can see her little shimmying. She shimmies as you cross that gap, hesitating as if she's going to step off, which is nice. It's a nice touch.
There's another optional piece of dialogue earlier where you can interact with the Ferris wheel and insist that you would go on it with her instead of Susie. But that also is the same way.
Yeah, and you also notice in the bottom right, in that last slide, after this point, the enemies start running away from you. You can see that task is just like cowering in the corner.
True, right, I forgot about that. You continue forward and find a man in a garbage can that speaks suspiciously similarly to Spamton.
It's Spamton. We all know it's Spamton.
You don't know that. It could be anyone.
No, it is. We can confirm it.
You go do the mouse puzzle, but instead of actually doing the puzzle, you keep telling Noelle, like, Noelle keeps telling you, all right, let's start the puzzle, and you keep telling her to proceed, and slowly back her up into the laser blockade at the back, until the screen goes black, you hear the ice shock noise, and the lever has been frozen over and the whole puzzle is broken. And she remarks, like, oh, I guess I was scared, but they made me stronger, so I guess that's fine, right? You freeze the next puzzle as well. You talk to the person at the garbage can. What is it?
I just want to add, can you zoom in on the picture on the top left? Because I added this for a very specific reason. Chris looks down at the end of this cutscene. Oh, you can't zoom in, can you?
No, not really.
It's a fucking slideshow.
So okay, well, shoot, I didn't know. Okay, so you can't see it very well, but Chris looks down after this cutscene here, and you can, if you look at it, there's the diagonal lines of the chain link fence, and it's perfectly, Toby did this intentionally, you can't convince me otherwise, but it's perfectly positioned such that the diagonals of the chain link fence with your deadpan expression makes it look like you're giving like a crazy, creepy smile.
That is a crazy thing to think, but I respect you for it.
But it's true. It's true. Don't even...
Can you find the screenshot and please send it in chat? I need to look closer at the shit.
Yeah. Hold on. I will get it. I will get it for you.
I'll explain this as that's happening. Once you've frozen all of the enemies you have access to, the person in the trash can who we don't know will sell you the Thorn Ring. You can equip the Thorn Ring as Chris, and then go forward and you fight Birdly. Turn the audio off. Noelle tells Birdly, run away, but you don't. Instead...
I put it in the chat, but this video is very important.
Right. Noelle has a new spell when you equip the Thorn Ring called Snowgrave, and it requires 100% TP. And so you go into this fight and you build up all your TP, and you insist that Noelle try to cast Snowgrave, even though she says she doesn't know it. And she says, alright, well fine, watch what happens when I cast a spell that I don't know. And then this happens. Reverse chicken nugget.
Don't say that. This is such a chilling cutscene when you actually experience it for the first time.
It was crazy. A lot of the talk of this game was that there's only one ending, your choices don't matter. And like even freezing the enemies was like their enemies. For you to be able to do this to a main character when you really thought you just could not was so crazy when it first came out. And so freaky.
Yeah,
as a thing.
there were two pieces of feedback that I think Toby took to heart from chapter 1. First was, man, there really isn't a genocide round in this game. That's kind of lame. And the second one was, man, Birdley's so annoying. I wish he would die.
Great news.
Great news. And then there's like one, I'm sure it's like archived somewhere, but there's like one Twitter feedback. There's like one Twitter thread of a guy being like, Toby, I love your chapter, but Birdley sucks. I wish we could kill him. I hope you let us kill him later. And then like a week after chapter 2 comes out, he replies to himself like, I changed my mind.
Right, but also keep in mind how much convoluted, because in Undertale you just had to kill all the enemies. All of the things, if you answer any of these as let's solve the puzzle, if you don't do the salesman guy thing, you have to do all of these things in order to make the game happen this way.
Yeah, you have to backtrack the moment you get her. Like there's remember the trash pile where Newbert is? Like you have to go back there and enemies suddenly show up that weren't there before that you have to freeze. And if you miss them, you won't see it. So even if you play this game aggressively and happens to freeze like most of your enemies, like you would never find this because you would never backtrack, or you might like use your sword to beat up one of those guys.
Right. You continue forward. Noelle's left. Noelle is like appropriately freaked out. And you meet up with Susie and Rouse in front of Queen's Castle, and you just go in through the front door this time instead of being captured. There aren't a ton of slides to indicate this, but it's taken over by Spamton. It is now Spamton's castle.
Yeah, Spamton's inside the basement right now, you can see.
Is he? Well, yeah, he's in the basement.
I sure hope no one steals the fountain right now.
Right.
He's in there, like, getting into that body.
Right. You go up all the way up to the top, and where you'd normally fight Queen, because Rouse is here, and, like, I guess the moment is a little different. Rouse just explains, like, oh, by the way, making more dark fountains will kill people right away, instead of there being a whole thing about it. And then Queen's like, oh, well, fine, just go steal the dark fountain. You do, and Chris goes ahead, and Spamton Neo is there, and you have to fight him one-on-one in the weird route. You get all the way to the end, and you start calling out for your friends to try and help. And you call for Rouse, and you call for Susie, and none of them answer. But then you whisper Noelle's name, and the screen goes black, and you see the damage numbers from Ice Shock. And then everyone wakes back up for the dream. Everyone except for Birdley. Birdley is still here. He is asleep, quote unquote.
He's fucking dead.
If you interact with this closet, the flavor text for it is it looks large enough for a person to fit in. And if you leave and then come back, Birdley will be gone, and this door will be shut.
Actually, is that what happens? I didn't realize that. I thought you couldn't go back in.
No, I think you can go back in, and then the door is shut. Maybe you can't go back in.
Oh, I gotta test that later. I gotta open up my reroute save now.
Maybe I Mandela affected, like just a random memory. That's possible.
Also, hello, Kingcraft. Howdy.
Also, hi, new person. That was the weird route. That's this game's alternate route.
It's good.
And from there is even stuff in the code of this game. There is stuff in the game code. If you look in the game code, there are certain things that are commented out that seem to be someone trying to speak to the player. Or they say, where am I? Hello, anyone? Is someone out there? Anyone? Can anyone hear me? It's dark. It's so dark here. Someone, anyone, if you can hear me, say something, please. And then in another script, no one can hear me, can they? I guess not. To be honest, I'm not even sure if I can hear myself. It's so quiet here. And yet sometimes I swear I hear something like scratching. From here, this is the big one. Oh boy, Here we go.
By the way, Craft, we see your message. Right now we're doing a recap for our friend
this is a whole presentation I have prepared. So I'm not going to be really reacting to chat in this stream.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll have time to rank new theories. We do have theories that we set up. So maybe your theory will be on here.
So
you'll get to hear our opinions then.
After the game came out, there was silence for a little bit, like a little less than a year. And then the Spamton Sweepstakes came out at the 1-year anniversary of Chapter 2. And it was a charity sweepstakes with like half lore relevant, half not information. It's very fun. Like, they have middies. Look at this, Kaus. Look at him schmoove.
Yeah.
He's such a dancer. It's worth noting that Toby himself has said that he considers anything that is outside of the game to be like non-canon, just for fun stuff. So while there's absolutely lore-related stuff that we should consider, like, you know, let's not take it too seriously. That's
right.
Man of Toby himself, man of dog.
It's canon in the same way that the Star Wars books are canon, where it's like, you're not going to see Glup Shido again. But, effectively, people would donate, and as they hit certain milestones, different sweepstakes rewards would unlock. And then at the end, all of the sweepstakes items would be given away. And there were all of these different things, and the big twist of it all, that people got really into this for, was there's like this little thing I can click on. So what's this about? Recent sightings. This sighting comes again, courtesy of Noel Holiday. The other night I went down to eat a leftover pizza, but when I went down, it was dark and I couldn't find the switch. And I saw Icy on the box and he winked at me. I screamed. Only my sister believes me. An update to the sighting. Story update. My sister burned the box in the grass to kill it, and it smelled like char sill pizza. She burned out Icy's eyes, and he looked evil, and as he said, and we should also bury the box. And Chris dug a hole in the ground in the graveyard, and I was scared a zombie would come up, and I tried to say, Chris, I'm scared, and they turned around with the box over their face, and I screamed, so Des hitted them and took it away. And I think it's going to come kill me. For those that enjoyed these sightings, be sure to take a look at the ones from her sister. And this is a link too. It doesn't go anywhere.
So I mean, I don't know if we have to like spell any of this out, but this is very obviously like a story that is from like Noelle when she was super young, because Azriel is there. Azriel is how she refers to Azzy, and Des is there.
Right. And we'll get to this later. In order to better introduce this, I'll open this one. Welcome to Holiday Girl 1225's Games, Secrets, Glitches, and Theories blog. Today, the official Dragon Blazers website was updated with a bunch of weird links. I searched around the official website for clues and found about 40 pages so far. It doesn't seem to be an ARG, there is no puzzles, and it doesn't lead to anything. Anyone else think the devs might have been eating a little bit too much fruitcake this year? And there's this song here.
Oh, you love that song.
I do love that song. It is Jingle Bells, except for that first part that's like an intro to Jingle Bells. But this is like tongue-in-cheek talking about this website. There are a total of 40 links hidden all throughout this website that you can find. You really can. And we're going to be going through all of them, and it's not going to be that scary, I promise. It's actually, like, it's pretty well laid out. To start...
You want to do that now?
Yeah, we're doing that now.
So big. All right, rack up your counters, fellas. We got Icy. That's one page.
We're knocking this one out right now. People found this page. This page cannot be found. This is a fake 404 page. And it is /December. December was her name, but Noelle calls her Des. So if you go to deltarune.com /Des,
and
shows
the reason
up.
why you would know this is that the fake 404, if you go back, sorry, T.
If you
go
type
back,
the page address in the address bar, make sure it's
fake,
spelled correctly.
Yeah, exactly. It says there that it's asking you to change the name.
There's a guitar, and if we click on it, music. If you inspect Element and look through to find the name of this song, the file name is called findher.ogg. Very ominous, very mysterious.
Very community defining.
Yeah, absolutely.
The entire Deltarune community is obsessed with finding this girl.
Yeah, I don't know if you just heard the thunder that just shook the earth in my house. A literal storm has shown up. I'm going to try and knock out the banner images ones now, so let's refresh again. Different banner image. Great. Let's go here. You lost.
Oh, the secret Pippus.
I think, can you not click on this again? Is it always this one?
I think.
It's always
I think there's other ways to get to a different one. Toby Fox loves his fun values. So
your lucky 1 bajillionth customer. Click here to claim your prize.
And there's, I think, like 4 or 5 links around.
Yeah, we'll find them.
Yeah.
Look at him.
But I think this counts as a single page because it's just Deltarune.com
Yeah, this is one.
/secret. There's the Pippus.
Is it going to be the last one?
You know it.
This one is a reference to a website that was the inspiration for this project, but it's not that important.
Wow, okay.
It was the second to last one. There's this chair. And I know I have the, can you guys see the top of my browser?
Yes.
Yeah, the browser says, but what if it could, ... And if you click this chair, get darker than dark. Look at that, huh?
And what if you click it a lot?
Yeah, you can click it a bunch of times.
You can click it so much. Oh!
I love you, Dryad.
But those are just the banner image ones, right? Also, those, I'm not even opening the friend can of worms right now. We'll get there.
One day.
Ugh, it's fine. Let's look at all these different prize listings. There's Fangamer gift cards. That's fun, that makes sense. This one. These chewed up bubblegum wrappers thought they could make merchandise without me. Well, who's a customer embroidery now? And it's existing shirts, but with Spamton's face on them. And there's a link here. Scrap heap. Look at this.
Ooh.
And there's a bunch of stuff here.
This is the same color palette as the TV.
The concept art, you're right.
Concept art. Yeah.
Now, if you're a real truck freak like me, there were recently some new links added to the Spamton sweepstakes because the brain rot can never end. This sweepstakes has chased me down and shook me for all I have. But I'm not going to be separating between the ones that were there at release and the ones that are there now. I'm just going to go through all of them. That being said, let's look at this one. /TV. The top of the page says, it's off. Let's go back. Lancer.
Lancer!
Ho ho ho.
Aww.
You just got Lancered. If I click on him, it takes us to this. which is like a mafia-themed looking fight. So that's fun. There's this door here, which is the same thing, but with these two Weather Channel characters. So that's fun. There's this one, which is one of the newer ones. It's a set of double doors here. If only you had the blank, your luck might have gone another way. No blank, no crystal. And if I click on this, the top of this page says no one will shed a tear for him.
Wow.
Very strange. It is worth noting, at the end of Chapter 2, if you talk to the shopkeeper Sham, who you saw in Chapter 1, he tells you that the next secret boss you fight might be impossible without the Shadow Mantle. But he doesn't know where he placed it, so you're just gonna... It might not be possible right away. So maybe that's what this is about, but we don't really know. And that was just this shirt. There's more to go through. Here's the socks. There's Spamton toilet paper. Looking for a way to max out your TP? Screw yourself in style with the new Spamton toilet paper. I like this one. This was a fan-base favorite. This is deltarune.com/sighting.
Didn't they, like, drown a Spamton plushie in milk?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't make that up. Cool.
And if you look on the link of this toilet paper, you get a link to a website called bluebubble.rodeo. So let's go there. And look.
Aw.
Cowboy characters. And at the top says, get ready for 2 minutes of mildly entertaining shootout action. Cool. Worm from the string. I wanted this one so badly. Also because, like,
Respectable.
we don't have a scale for it, but looking at it, it looks like a full, like, several feet long. It's impossible.
That's a blush.
Like, it's impossible to tell, but it looks like it. Championship belt. I'm not gonna be reading through all of these. Actually, let's put on some tunes while we read through these different... There's a built-in tunes button. We should take advantage of it. Spamton after not surviving. Do you... I know I'm deep in the weeds. But do you know what this is about?
Who, me or Dryad?
You.
I actually don't. I don't
So,
either.
Don't the monsters
on.
turn to dust in the original?
Is this from Steven Universe?
it was this image.
Oh my god, you're right. It is
Oh my
Steven Universe.
god! No, this is so deep in the weeds.
So this was like back in the day, and then this was in the Spamton sweepstakes. So this one made me very happy, but there's no link there. Cookie of Boy?
It's a Lancer cookie!
It is. These are in Chapter 1. I would love to make homemade
Aw.
Lancer cookies at some point. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Cooking stream? Cooking stream?
The last cooking stream we did went terribly, but I'm down for cooking stream rematch.
Okay, the last 2 times was me doing the cooking. This time it's you. It should
Fair.
go better.
It just takes us to this again.
Yay!
Cookie shaped like Lancer's face. Maybe not a good cookie. Heals 1 HP. Will heal you in your time of need.
Face.
There's the cardboard box Noelle wears. It takes us to... This is a different page inside of Noelle Holiday's blog.
It is.
As you may know,
So you'll
Cat Pitters...
often get pages.
What is it?
Sorry, you'll often get pages with Noelle's blog, that are like, let's say, public, that has this cute little banner with the ornaments and the music.
I'm sorry.
But what happened? Oh.
I don't know if that's on accident or on purpose.
I don't think that's on purpose.
Always on purpose. Always on purpose.
Alright, whatever.
Anyway, so you'll get those, and sometimes, like you'll see soon, you'll get these much less colorful looking blog posts.
Yeah. So, effectively, Noelle talks here about a game she had as a kid called Cat Petters. It's a little bit like Spore or the Chow Gardens from Sonic Adventure, where you have a pet and you can raise them, and then you can also make different like permutations of that pet. And there's also mods for them, and she would mod the game a lot. And sometimes if she like modded it too much, the game would freeze and glitch out. And then here, if you click on this, if you have no pets, there's a rare chance for an egg to appear, giving you a random pet. All of this, there's a lot here, right? She gets a weird glitched egg and takes care of it, and then eventually the egg goes away and it leaves from happiness. And yeah, this is the one that just showed up. There's a second egg story that's important. This link just goes back to the original this that we already have pulled up. This link, Secret Cats, takes us to another blog where she talks about the specific chances of getting different types of cats in this cat raising game. And so she's found some really rare ones, but mostly just like normal ones. And there's Try It Yourself as a blue link house. And look at this.
Ooh.
Riveting gameplay.
Amazing.
See, have you cooked it?
I have not.
Oh, I'm cooking it right now.
So, Kals, how are we doing?
Pretty good.
So, yeah.
Is that?
Ooh, look at this.
Oh, those windows.
There's a ton of windows. So let's click on one of them. This is the page that shows up if you enter an incompatible website. So if I just put in like, it takes me to here.
Dog check.
And it plays a song.
Aww.
But that just means you put in a wrong link. All of these have variations of, I believe, God, what is it? The forest where, Lost Where the Forest Would Grow is the unscrambled version of this. And it takes you to here. With a tree floating in the air with this ocean texture behind it. It makes piano noise if you click it. You can click it 3 times. And then on the 4th time, it takes you back to here. The top here says, "Aren't you forgetting something?" And that's the end of that crazy rabbit hole here. Now that we're already here, let's talk about Noelle Holiday's blog a little bit. And then we'll get back to the prizes. Because there's 14 comments and we need to read them. Smart Genius 55502720209 responds. Burley wants to be a Reddit mod. Effectively. Let's see, go down here. Jockington, I think, responds, whose account is just sports. Does Dragon Blazers have sports? I never played it. No. Or do I do not think I will use this website anymore. Is there not a link that leaves out of here? I thought there was. Maybe there's not.
I needed to go back.
Yeah. Huh. Okay, well, let's go back to sweepstakes. There's definitely more of that blog. And let's see, we got to here, right? Cat Petters. This one, the Spamton scented ass candle.
Amazing.
Banana. Rouse nurse costume. I'm mad they don't sell this.
Aww.
Takes us to here. Same video we saw before. Spamton still the best. 1997. The Spamton heart-shaped locket.
Amazing.
There's a link here. Ooh, look at this. It's funny. There was a time where they were coming over almost every day. We'd play and we'd play, then after a while, we'd suddenly get very still. They would suddenly get very still, like they were remembering something. They'd go into the dining room to get a snack, then after a few moments, I'd hear the piano. The first few times I went to watch them play, but when they realized what I was doing, they'd always shut the piano and come back. So over time, I just started staying on the couch in the living room. I'd lie there, listening to them play, sometimes for hours, even until I fell asleep. Even then, what were they thinking about me? Maybe they weren't thinking about me at all. They didn't have a piano at their house, so they probably just came over to use mine. Even then, with one eye open, even then with my eyes open, there were times where I wasn't sure we were friends. But when I closed my eyes, it felt like a concert just for me. Participant in this call.
Did you play the music?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed it. I don't know if there's a way to quickly share the screen for a second because I wanted to show something else about the Cats game. I don't think there's an easy way to do it though.
Definitely not on stream as well.
Stream. Yeah.
Can you show Kals at the end? Like at post stream?
Yeah, I can show Kals at the end.
Okay.
Sure.
There's a Mr. plus Mrs. and Spamton charcuterie board.
God, that's a good one.
I love all of these. Pippa's bath rug.
Nice.
Another Noelle blog. In this one, she says that you can input, like, effectively a cheat code in order to get an egg, right? And she got a spam email and entered the data from that into the game, and it managed to load. And it was this weird blue circle, and it crashed out. And then eventually they just kept multiplying, and like then her game crashed and she had to wipe out the game. And then I believe, yeah, this goes back to the main blog page.
Yeah.
Blue circle.
So one of the common themes you'll see. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say blue circle. If you remember, Peepus from however many slides up. Yeah, Peepus. Look at him.
Which you only find in the weird route, by the way. So one of the common themes that you'll see is Noelle is very.
You fight Spamton Neo, and he shoots.
You could fight Spamton Neo. Yeah, it's true. But if you don't fight Spamton Neo, you don't go to the weird route, then you don't see it. Fair enough. But you'll see Noelle has a common theme. She's closely tied, or has a big tendency to explore games for like secrets and like little hacks, because she mods cat petters and she explores the ARGs, and there's other like creepy glitch compilations that you can see as Easter egg dialogues if you like use her on certain enemies in certain ways. So like she's very closely associated with that aspect of gaming.
She has a knack for breaking games.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes the glitchy, creepypasta nature of the weird route so much more like poignant.
Spamton Spa.
I would buy that.
The fungible token. Is it just a poster?
It's just a Deltarune 2 poster, but it's all Spamton.
This big spot, like Super Bowl ring.
Oh my god, look at it.
Championship, 3 Pippas, Spamton 97, 1997. Engraved wristwatch. Noelle Holiday. I forgot about this.
This is Noelle's wristwatch, which has its own crazy deep scene.
You're lucky that this is 120 slides and not 1,120 slides.
Yes, because when you find Noelle for the first time and have her in your party, she starts with this wristwatch. And it's just like a middling item. It actually is valuable in some way with regards to the like bullet time. But that's not the point. The point is that she starts with this wristwatch, and you can maneuver equipment all around as you like. So if you're in the weird route and take her wristwatch, then Susie has that scene with her off screen where she's like, "This is a dream. It's all a dream." And then Noelle's like, "Oh my God, it's a dream. Thank God it was a dream because I killed Burley in that dream." And then you meet her in the hospital and she's like, "Why are you wearing my watch? What happened?"
Oh.
So like, there could be so many more slides. I love this game. But there's this. She talks about Susie, who really does not like Chris. Talks about an incident where Chris is wearing like apple scented shampoo and then tries to eat Chris, like bite Chris a little bit. And Chris just kind of sat there and was still, and it's this flavor text as to the relationship and attitudes of these people. This one isn't like an earth-shattering revelation.
I think it's very important to understand, the relationship that Noelle had with those three characters have with each other before Deltarune starts.
Yeah, I think it's still fairly well communicated in the game.
Yeah, it was actually received relatively. It actually, like, people thought less of Noelle after reading that, just because of like how passive she was.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's her character arc in that second chapter.
It is her character arc, but I remember people saw that and they were like, "Wait a second, oh my gosh, this is not cute anymore."
I like this one a lot. The Outstanding Growth Award with a quote from Benjamin Franklin and Spamton.
And Spamton. Everyone thinks that's just going to be how Susie wakes up in chapter 3.
This one doesn't make a freaky thing if you click it a bunch. That one's just normal.
It's so sad.
Hot moms in your area, wine glass 100% replica.
It has the blue lipstick on it. That's great.
Yeah, it's Queen's glass.
Oh yeah, it is.
Skeleton snow globe. We never found. People are insane. They found out what this blurred image is. It's like a Nightmare Before Christmas snow globe, but no one ever actually came forward and said, "I got the snow globe and this is what it is." And it's just a blurred image.
There was, I think I saw a post where someone mentioned like what it was, but it wasn't. It was just an engraving on the bottom, but the picture was still like, I think, of Jack Skellington. They just can't show it because it's obviously copyrighted.
They can't show it on social media. Well, I guess they can't show it on here. There's this. Every single piece of Deltarune merch you can buy at the time that this came out. Nice. Spamton engraved wedding ring with one Peepus. You plus Spamton.
Wow.
And there's a link. I almost just skipped it. The link is called Damn You Tina. The top says, "Delete this. That damn boob tube. You're the only one having a refreshing night's sleep in the recycling bin. Everything is his. Everything is his fault. Pay. Everyone is going to pay 5 easy payments of $9.99 until they're all in the disposal area begging for my expletive. Everyone except." And then you can click on this TV.
Wait.
What?
Oh, wait, no, go back. You gotta select all.
Yeah, look.
Everyone except Mike.
Oh, yeah, true. I forgot this was here. Click on this. This is a very long vertical web page. This is, what do you think you're doing? You shouldn't be here. Towards the bottom, there are these two squares. This first one takes you to here, which we've already been. The second one takes you to here. Scroll all the way up. Static that gets louder and softer. It's another Noelle blog. Did anyone else wander around this screen as a kid? She talks about an ice palace in her game Dragon Blazers that she was playing with her dad a little bit and that this in-universe blog is about. And she talks about, like, effectively getting into a really weird secret area. This is probably going to be a thing that comes back up in the weird route as to, like, we have to do something similar. But for now, it's just another, like, the Ice Palace is a thing that might show up again. And Noelle is really good at finding secrets in video games. Cool. Almost done. Spamton body pillow.
Wow.
Cass, I know
Look
you'd
at
get
him.
this.
Look at the cheek
Whoa.
up.
Yeah, look at him. Fuck yeah, Woods, look at that.
Oh my god.
They sell keychains of this on Etsy, and I'm very tempted to buy one. I say they, like someone sells them. It's also this. At the end of the sweepstakes, you could donate to either free or imprison Spamton, and then depending on what you did, the sweepstakes would go a slightly different way.
Yeah,
That's what this
freedom
is.
or silence, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. There were 2 big budget items here. It was like the highest bidder wins. I like the Mona Spamton a lot.
I don't like that you can see his eyes.
There's this page at the very bottom here, this What's Next, where it says Chapter 3, not applicable. That's weird. So let's go to Chapter 1, because Chapter 3 is there. Not applicable. Chapter 2, applicable. Chapter 3, not applicable. If I hold the left arrow key here, and I just like hold it for a while.
But
Unless. Haha, just kidding. Chapter 4. Chapter 4.
Wait, is that how it always was?
Look at this. It sends you to here.
Oh, there's a button here.
If I highlight over these, does it really not want to show you?
Control A, maybe?
Because it's message. Oh yeah, Control A. The secret here. Each of these links to a different audio file, either of a keyboard, like a piano key being hit, or like the reverse of that same audio file. This pattern here is meant to be a keyboard. And each of these has a name. So E.mp3, E.mp3, E, M. And if you look at that spot on your keyboard, it is a T. If you find all of the M's and combine them together and unscramble them, the link is thank you. And now it just says this. If you were there in the first 12-something hours that this came out, there were 3 boxes. And in the first, you had to put in an email. If you look at the top here, it says, how long did it take her to smile? In the middle box, you put in just whatever. And then you could hit submit, and then it would say thank you. And then sometime later, people got emails back that were completely blank. Presumably unless you put in the right answer, and I haven't seen anyone that did.
Yeah, it was blank unless you put in a number, and then it would tell you the number you put in, like you answered 4 seconds or 3 days. But that's it. You either got your answer back, or you got an empty screen. And people theorize that this prompt, this form, was removed when someone put the right answer, but no one knows which answer was right.
Right. So we know that Chapter 3 and 4 are coming out. What about Chapter 5? Look at this. This is here. There's an invisible, like, black-colored 1 that's really small. A 2 that's really big. A 3 that's really big, but it's invisible. A 4 that's pretty small, and then a 5 that's medium-sized. So the first one isn't even a link. Can't click on it. Second one. This is an audio clip that plays when you fight Birdly in the weird route. This only plays then. Okay. So what about this big 3? Let's click on the 3. Do you remember this noise? This is the weird, like, shadow mantle one that I was talking about. If only you had the blank, your luck might have gone different. Then there's 4, which we've discussed. Wait, have we? Is this the same? This is the same.
Yeah.
And then there's this. Implying that at chapter 5, we get to see Des at some point. But
because that's so closely related to the guitar.
Right. If 2 is the weird route audio, then what does all of this imply? Well, chapter 1 does not have a weird route at all. Like, there's nothing you can do with it, so it's super tiny and the text isn't even on screen. Chapter 2 does. And if you remember the text before, it said applicable. It is applicable. Chapter 3 does not have a weird route, but ... And then combined with this audio, I believe that this means that it doesn't have a weird route unless you have the Shadow Mantle and can beat the secret boss. That's what I believe. Some people believe that the size of this text indicates the significance that the weird route will have going forward. So, like, the weird route would have a big impact on chapter 3 and then not very much on chapter 4 and then a little bit. I believe it's you can, but you have to have the Shadow Mantle first. And then by that same logic...
It's not super obvious.
Then by that same logic, probably not very much in chapter 4, but like still something is there. And chapter 5 is a little more significant.
Yeah.
Those are all of the links, I believe. With like there's one that I don't know how to get to. What's it? Is it it's not therapy. It's like the poor children.
Yeah, the poor children.
It's this. You can click and drag your mouse.
Fun fact, Cal. Fun fact, Cal. Someone made Bad Apple with this.
Nice.
I need to remember how Anna is shaped. It's like this, and then the 2 wings, and then like
you don't have that many squares left. Oh, she's dying.
That looks like the Animal Crossing villager.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, you're so true. So real.
All right, let's do a bunch more.
Yeah, I'm schmoovin'. Color unlocked. I'm nuts. I'm crazy.
Oh.
Picasso.
Wait, there's a weird color happening. It's the tree.
And it takes you to this.
The man behind the tree, and it brings you back to Egg.
The top bar of this does say therapy, so I guess that's important. That's of note.
It's what every member of the community has to go to now.
Right. Once the Phantom sweepstakes ended, they had to announce who got the prizes. And they did that with a video presentation. Which I have here in the slides, but I also have as a separate tab so we can skip through it. Because I'm not going to expect us to watch all 34 minutes of this. But also part of it... I didn't
know we were going to watch 2 minutes of this.
Part of it is... Some of it's really funny. I want to watch like 5 or 10 minutes. Come on.
Let me have this. It is a very good video. I forget who the actor is.
I
do like the major snow warning, by the way. Did you see that?
I did. I had personal beef with Mr. Elon Musk before it was cool because of this video. Because it was right after this came out, right after he like bought Twitter. They changed the way DMs worked and people stopped getting notifications from people that weren't verified. And one of the 2 people involved with this reached out to me and wanted me to make a 3D model for them. Right as that change happened.
Oh, no.
So it could
for
be...
This?
It could be like they weren't... Not for this. Like for themselves, I think. But it would have been still working with this person who makes really cool stuff. So that's my personal beef.
Oh, okay. I see.
But now we get to just chill. Does it not start right away? Oh, no, it technically does. If the other stuff was like questionably canon, like it's canon with a giant asterisk over it, this is 100% not canon at all.
Yeah, this is not even close.
This
to
is
canon.
just nonsense, but I love it so much.
It's delicious garbage.
I think Kels, this might be a
Oh my
highlight for
God!
Kels.
There he was. Everyone was upset. This guy was like a Tumblr sexy man.
Yeah.
Hampton.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What do you mean was? He's right here.
He still is. Look at him.
I say we just watch this until it stops being funny.
I was gonna say I changed my mind. I'll watch the whole thing. Oh man. Spampton's still trapped. It's not really outside. Sheep. Awkward pauses.
This is great.
Kels, you digging this?
Hey, Annie!
It's the man of the hour!
Spampton, Spampton! Here at the one, the only, the Spampton Value Network!
This is not Spampton G. Spampton.
It's A.
Oh.
Welcome one, welcome all. Who wants a prize? No. Who wants a wild prize? You want a prize? You want a prize? You! Anyone can get a prize at the Spampton Value Network.
I love this more than anything in the world. I hope you know this.
Spampton.
Dude, you were playing Splitgate 2 earlier today.
The flag doesn't even. Oh, there it goes.
I hope this guy got, like, super paid.
God bless Spampton. And now...
How much of this do you think was scripted?
And probably like all of it.
And now, an excerpt from Ode to Spampton.
He showers our souls with incredible deals, and with hearty peepus, our hearts he so steals. No fool would be greater
Peepus.
than he who denies that Spampton give me the chance to earn
You see that
wild
they, like,
prize.
change the spelling of
Not a
denies?
crooked clown who's more sick than he's funny, a lovable salesman who give me free money. You may ask,
No, give me
who
free
is this?
money.
You may ask,
The video editing on this is also
who will be the
so
secret
impressive.
So
of
good.
adventure? No free.
I don't know how they...
Don't knows, and me don't care.
I don't know 100% how they did this.
The rest can go up in the air.
You're gonna study this
It's-
later.
Please pay
I'm studying it
$4.99
now.
to continue the poem.
So they did the initial video, and then they.
How did they do the shadow?
Added. So they did the initial video, and then they added it as an object in presumably Blender,
Oh,
whatever 3D program.
True, Blender can do that.
And yeah, that is a flat plane that
Right.
they've done up.
Yep.
It's I think it's really neat. It's great.
It's
I've done
hard
it
to make
before
the camera
myself, so I
look
know
that
how to do it.
bad in Blender.
Yes.
The shadows are always a little
Who's
off.
ready for a wild prize?
Okay, I think it's done in movement in Blender just because some of the camera movement, it looks like they just like screen capped it.
Is here. Spampton,
But yeah,
it's
you can see
Spampton
it's just a
time.
flat
Who wants a
plane.
prize? We're
It's
giving
great.
them
I love
away.
it.
If you entered the Spampton Super Sweepstakes, you could win a wild prize all of your own. And tonight, we're here to tell you all about those prizes. And
But
all
yeah, if you
about
look at
their
how it
value.
zooms in, you can see the
So,
mouse scroll,
let's
and when he
see some
stops
prizes.
scrolling with the
Oh,
mouse.
yeah, that's true.
Number one,
I
Yeah.
noticed that too.
Yeah, like that.
the PP's.
See? It's totally a mouse scroll. It's so good.
We'll do that one more time. Everybody at home. These chewed up
I
Spampton
like to
rappers-
think that Queen is
Not
the... or Queen or Gaster is the cameraman right now.
Pose. Spampton. First up, we've got Fan Gamer gift cards.
So this is how they gave it away, is they announced it like this, and it had the people's names in it.
Fun Gamer after you swipe these little guys.
It was insane.
Up to $50 value free.
We can skip through these because we've seen all the prizes.
No spam to the ring. Years inside the
Yeah.
ring.
And there's some like funny flavor text, but that's not what we're here for. We want to see Spampton A Spampton.
Those prizes were wild, and now somebody won them. And who are you?
Yeah, see what I mean? The camera movement is
This
so
was also perfect.
obvious. It's so good.
I think this is Kalsa's favorite part of the slideshow. Is that fair to say?
I love shitty videos. Yeah. I love shit like this.
There was
It
a
makes me
world
so
where this got
happy.
cut out for time.
Enjoy your prize. You will get a confirmation email informing you of your
Oh
prize.
my god, you can
Make
see
sure
his
it doesn't
beard
go
through the
to your
makeup.
spam folder. Now I will juggle. So let's.
Hello, everybody! Ladies and worms, it is
What the
I,
fuck is that?
Spampton B. Spampton! Behold!
The shitty mocap!
Oh my
Yeah, it's
god.
rotoscoped.
Spampton!
Yeah.
On the Spampton Value
Spampton
Network!
B Spampton. We have A B.
Behold!
What?
This is how my VTuber works 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Who are you? I'm supposed to be Spampton. That's why I got the suit. No, that's my job. I'm Spampton. But I have the suit. Don't mess with the balls. What do you even? We don't have mocap.
Don't mess with the balls.
And I'm Spampton. I'm Spampton A. Spampton. But get out of here. Don't touch the ball.
Get out of here!
No. Put that back on. We don't even have mocap. Ow. Ow. No. Get out of here.
Oh my god, we have to move on or we'll watch the entire video.
It's 20 minutes. It's been 2 hours.
20 minutes.
That's like a not.
Right.
That's a drop in the bucket.
Dude, this this
This is our
straight up.
intermission.
Your first and only stop to your next wonderful meal. Simply apply the nozzle to your mouth and siphon the nutritional substrate, making sure not to blow into the nozzle. You'll feel
The actress stopped. I guess the smile was
playing.
playing.
With a nutrient-rich slurry, which is easily administered.
The lips pursing forward.
Sending food to every part of your
God,
body.
he's chatting up right now.
Don't let dehydration
He's bogging.
slow
Was
you
he
down.
was he doing
Don't
like
ask your doctor
something
if
maxing?
Spampton
What's it
nutrition
called?
is right.
Looks maxing.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Blue Bubble Rodeo.
It's like ooh-wooing.
Spampton C Spampton.
Are you using antivirus? Disabubbling it.
More fun! This is why if Spampton shows up in chapters 3 and 4, our voices will just be like this guy. Just like a
There's only
normal
one Spampton
guy.
in the globe.
Yeah.
You love my Spampton globe.
I like
ready
the
for
decision,
wild prizes.
honestly.
Yo. Spampton A. Spampton, back at it again. Don't know what that was with, but we're here
Okay.
with prizes.
This is just
sequel.
recorded in the
Surprise.
viewport,
Our first
and I
prize.
love that so much.
Prize.
Wait, no, you're
No
right.
prize. Spampton
It
not
is!
surviving.
It's just straight up
The new
recorded
audio
in the
culture
viewport of
everyone's favorite
Blender, and I
salesman
love it so
finally
fucking
concealed
much.
Not spreadable for easy snacking.
This is not rendered out afterwards, it's just recorded in the goddamn viewport.
That's
oh
really
my god, it makes me
funny.
happy.
It might be in Unity or something, because Blender's viewport, you don't move around like this.
Wow.
Oh my
Prizes.
god.
It could... Yeah, I believe it being in
Holy,
Unity.
Holy Toledo. Those prizes are coming to somebody. I don't know who. The answer is inside me.
Corpse winner,
Inside him.
Metaton.
Sleeper agent activated.
Winners are there. You got them. You will get a confirmation email informing you of your prize. Make sure it doesn't go to your spam folder. How about I juggle for you?
Again?
Where'd he go?
He juggled
Spamton?
himself.
Spamton, have you left us?
Spamton.
Have you left us?
My
You guys
Lord
wanna hear
and
about my new
Savior
religion?
Spamton. Have you forsaken us?
Oh, this is him juggling. Okay.
The soothing sound of the songbird. The lush rustle of the meadow. All of these sounds and more can be found in this new audio CD. Top 100. The natural sounds of
Okay, that's what I think music is. I have a friend who would love this. I got to show them this video with no other context about the game. Hochi Mama!
Kill your TV.
Yep.
E is for DLC.
Kill your TV is definitely more relevant.
Remember,
I was about to say, Spamton has a really radio killed the TV star attitude. Or video killed the radio star.
Yeah.
He's wanted.
Serial criminal.
I wish I was as wanted as Spamton.
Get someone who wants you the way local authorities want Spamton.
Spamton, oh Spamton.
Yes.
Of my friends, you are the best. An object, heart-shaped. Please take from my chest. I'll give you my riches. I'll give you my pores. Crumb or sandwich I feed you, like money-filled s'mores. You are honest and perfect. No need to repent. I'll give you my stuff till I don't have a cent. And when I have given, with no more to give, I'll make sure his haters have not long to live. I'll smash my TV with a battering ram.
I'll kill my TV with a battering ram.
Is this foreshadowing?
Am
I insane?
No, you have a point. No, they're cooking.
Yeah,
They're cooking with this.
absolutely.
For its horrible crimes.
I think I'm straight up losing it. And by it, I mean haha, my mind.
So,
There is something with Spamton against the TV. There really is.
Yeah, the music then was very amalgamate, coded.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Spamton Value Network, your home of wild prizes and crazy times. Now, it's time.
Dude, I don't want to say anything, but Spamton's kind of packing. Now that he's not being obscured.
Oh my god, look at him!
He's packing.
I didn't notice it first, but you're
I'm very sorry that I had to bring that to your
I don't want to make comments like that about Spamton. That's for Spamton
But
D.
he's a Tumblr
Spamton.
sexy man!
Right now.
While
While Spamton heads to the phone room, we're going to announce some more wild prizes and their wild winners.
Hey, look, we're already halfway through.
All right. Spamton prize number 1.
Why is this the
Yeah,
most
we were gonna
exciting?
go until the stops being funny, but this is great.
Look at the
You
little
sound like a
scribbly
parent,
baby.
talking their kid through the doctor's
Pungy.
appointment. Like, we're already
This disgusting yet
halfway.
popular animal will win us so much money. This time selling medical supplies. Your best.
I don't know why that's the most
That may be
replayed.
our best
Your
batch of
best-
wild prizes yet. But who's gonna take them home? I know the answer. Go. On your. And there they went.
Your
Those are our
skips
winners.
just add to the
Congratulations on your
experience.
wild you will get a confirmation email informing you of your prize. Make sure it doesn't go to your spam folder.
Spam folder. He's so dead. Oh my god. Yeah, I think it is Unity. I think you're
To be
right.
serious for a moment, this kind of live video content costs a lot of money. So we're really thankful to our sponsor for making all of this possible. Hey, can we get our sponsor up on the screen? There we go. Yeah!
Pippus! Yeah!
All right.
I really like
All
that
right.
Your Fugi makes it look like you're in shock at all at the Peepus.
All right. So, I guess it's time for more wild prizes. Let's go. Next on the what?
Hey, you're supposed to do the demonstration. There's a demonstration thing.
What?
There's a demonstration thing that you have to.
The nose.
Yeah, he's sticking it in his ear.
Okay, go.
His nose is white. Did you see that?
Yeah.
We are going to have a live demonstration
nose,
of
like,
some
the
fresh
tip
marine
became
product.
white.
Come on in, Spampton.
Spampton? Well, now try one.
Oh yeah, that's right. They eat a Pipis.
Mmm. Yeah. Mmm.
Oh my god, the immediate blue.
Tastes like fresh.
Tastes like fresh.
Tastes like fresh.
Yeah, fresh Peepus.
Put the whole thing in.
What?
Put the whole thing in for boys in blue.
Okay. I think this one's a girl.
Okay. Just do it.
Miss Peepus.
Miss Pipis. Yeah!
Oh god. The commitment.
Oh yeah. Do you think a third can fit in there?
No, he doesn't think so.
He heard me.
Noises.
Alright, Kaus. Seeing all this, would you free or silence Spampton?
Oh, free.
Spampton Value Network, Hamburger Royalty, and the Canadian Consumer...
Oh, it's based after the Burger King
Yeah.
recall.
Fatal explosions
Sorry.
reported.
The product may
Yeah.
pose a fatal explosion hazard to consumers. Do not use the product. Throw the product away or return it to a hamburger restaurant. Your safety is of the
Hamburger
utmost
restaurant.
importance to us.
Hamburger.
I love seeing
Keep
A and B
blowing.
get along so well. Look at them.
God. Get off of me. Okay. No more of that. No more of that, Spampton.
No more?
No, can you leave, please? Please leave. All right. Go to the phone. The phone. The phone. All right, folks. Now we have a very special caller on the line. Someone you know and love.
Who is
to
it?
announce the winners of the auction for the Birdley statue and the Mona Spampton. We have a very special guest, world-famous composer Tony Fox. Tony.
Tony!
Tony
Tony!
Fox.
It's Tony!
Hey, Tony.
Who are you? Who put this camera in my house?
Tony, it's time to head over the prizes. The wild prize.
I don't know you.
His mouth is still blue!
You can't have it.
Oh yeah.
Don't play dumb. We know you have the prizes. It's time to hand them over.
No, you can't have it.
Tony.
I need it.
No, Tony. Tony, what are we
My
talking about?
prizes.
Tony.
I need them.
Tony.
No.
Tony.
Oh. He's dead.
Tony Fox, everybody.
Yay!
Yay.
And winners.
Dude, my mouth is sore from being in like a dumb smile this entire time. I forgot how much this made me happy.
All right. And of course, what would the Spampton Value Network be without a wild prize block again?
His hand
Let's
is all
do it.
blue as well.
Spampton.
Yeah, he has like
this
white
is
makeup
great.
on his jacket.
Let's go to those prizes. First up, we have Peepus Big Shot Fantasy Ship Ring.
All right, we get to skip some more.
Yes.
Fair enough. None of those prizes were me. Pass.
I think. Okay, there's one more prize segment, and then we're at the end.
Don't touch that yet. Don't touch it.
Oh, it's him again.
That looks like a different Spampton.
It's the pixel art one.
Let him out. Let him out.
I think he got hacked, guys. He didn't say anything.
23. $3.
Bonus.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Whoa! Unsolved miracles.
Oh my god. This is great.
Guys, I'm scared. I can't go to bed
I'll
tonight.
dress in thine face and in thine costume. I croon. I'll lend my life force. I'll give all my power. Even if doing, I die in 1 hour. It's all for this message.
Oh my god, there really are no more here.
Please play Spampton Wars now, free on Peepus 3. Play Spampton Wars now, free on Peepus 3. Spampton, of all men who ever lived, you are the best. May the hymn of the angels sing thee to thy rest. Please pay $4.99 now.
The lighting
And now,
is insane.
For our final prizes.
This is great.
Spampton engraved wedding ring.
Oh, what's this about?
If you are hot or have any other easily exploitable qualities. And now,
exploitable qualities? Damn.
Don't put that in there. Hey, everybody. Spampton ass! Spampton ass! Yes! Yes! Spampton, yes!
The one and only Spampton body pillow. Don't you want to cuddle me all night long using my huge ass as a pillow?
Okay, I'm gonna say that again. And when I say it, everyone in the audience say, yes!
If it begins to talk, just let it be.
Don't you want to cuddle me all night long using my huge ass as a pillow? Yeah.
I just cuts out.
Well, it's time for more prizes.
I have to admire the actors. This is great.
Welcome back.
It was basically just
Spampton
these two
Value
guys.
Network, the only home of wild prizes and
This is
Spampton's
great.
beautiful eyes. Here tonight, we've got even more wild prizes in store for you. Can you believe it? We might be on number 50. I can't count. Spampton Carbine Knife. The Spampton Carbine Knife is a wonderful knife that will allow you to.
Hey guys, is this on? Sorry it took so long for the stream. We just had some
what stream?
Technical difficulties.
This is the stream.
We got this report that someone's been doing some kind of like really creepy fake broadcast. Just want to let you know that's not us. They've been selling bootleg merchandise.
I talked to
really
Spampton hired me.
Carbine knives or something. It's ridiculous.
No, those are Spampton value
But
items.
it's okay. So we got their information. We're taking some, action. And once things go through, we'll be able to put a real stream on for you guys. Okay? So just hold tight.
So for our next item, Spampton sniper rifle. Can we get that up on the screen?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we're having a little issue, folks. Yeah, nothing than a big shot like Spampton A. Spampton can't fix. So let's just wait a second and. I'm not Spampton. Let me go, please. I swear this wasn't my idea. I swear I'm not really Spampton. I'm just an impersonator. I'm just an actor. I was hired. I was just gonna be a Spampton. I was gonna be like.
Oh God! Oh God!
He's being FBI'd!
The FBI most wanted.
Dude, his lift turned green.
Yeah, the colors are all inverted.
Because there's a filter.
They let this man out into the world. He's going in the garbage.
Living in a garbage can.
Even in its doing, I died in 1 hour.
I die in 1 hour.
Seeing his face in HD feels wrong.
Right?
That's real. It's no longer it's no longer a screen, I think.
You guys tell me what to do.
No. He was freed.
That was the Spampton Value Network. Yippee.
That was amazing.
I lost $10,000 watching that.
Respectable.
This was like one of the... it was such a wonderful moment in the community, I think. Because of how much effort was put into this website and this event. And how much cool story stuff and non-canon stuff happened through it. So fun. And with that, we entered into, and I have the video queued up here, and we won't watch all of this video, the second drought.
The second drought.
Because from that date until April 2nd, when a new trailer dropped, there was nothing. And this time, now with so much more information, people started to go a little bit insane. People started to go a little crazy. Someone posted this image to Reddit and said, hey guys, I need some help. My Undertale is like this. Do you know what I did? And it looks like this. So we'll watch maybe the first minute of this.
I can't even read that one.
And then
Human?
people just made a billion of them.
Remember your Among Us PS4.
Thank you to Dear Sponge on YouTube.
What the fuck? So I have to... What does that even say? Human, I remember you're not book smart, you're money smart.
It's this.
Human, I remember your hard mode.
Let's skip around.
I remember your neutrals.
Smile.
Human, I remember your pacifist. Human,
I want to see the one with Rudy in the hospital. There's one with Rudy in the hospital. We gotta see that one.
That's a good one. Human, I am depressed. It's like he's some kind of nightmare golden. Oh god.
People
Oh
went
my god!
really and truly insane.
The bat.
People lost their minds during this time period.
There was a lot. There was a lot of brain rot.
But then.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about. I mean, I just kind of want to introduce because now we're looking into the future, right?
Right.
We've talked about.
You're caught up to
almost
present
everything. Day. Yeah, we were talked about basically all the most significant content from the first 2 chapters, along with all the side content, the Valentine's Day cards, the concept art, the Spampton sweepstakes. So now we're talking about, like, what are the big things that we're kind of keeping tabs of, and all the major, like, theories, right? So these are, like, some examples that we're looking at. Especially in the light world, there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of talked about but not fully developed yet. There's a talk about the mayor with the festival, which is very clearly intended to be related to Noelle, and we'll talk about that character in particular later. There's also, of course, the issue that Rudy has in the hospital, and there's also stuff about the alarm clock, which is something we didn't even talk about, that makes his presence in the hospital very concerning. There's the bunker.
He only has an hour left.
Yeah, he dies in 1 hour. There's the bunker. Kelsey, you remember the bunker at the bottom of the graveyard? Or below the graveyard. There's Alphys starting to meet Undyne, very implied here, this police officer. And then it's not clear on the top right, but this text is coming from the priest of Lightworld, Alvin. He talks about his father and the hammer because he is the son of Gerson. And if you don't know, Gerson is the shopkeep turtle from Undertale, who...
Oh, yeah!
Who, by the way, is the first person who originally mentions the Deltarune as like a I guess religious symbol. And so he gives you this sort of dialogue that you overhear, which is very ominous after you talk to him. And speaking of ominous, you also have the dogs on the bottom right. I don't even know if you talked to them in your run, but they mention about being attacked while trying to rob supposedly the Holiday House. People suppose it's the mayor who attacked, but it's not confirmed, so what is it really? Okay, I kind of stole that slide, T, so if you want to take it back, feel free.
No, you did make these slides, so that's fine.
Okay, so there's so much stuff in the light world that we had to use 2 slides for this. There's this trussle of bones that I mentioned, you know, Sans' brother, which we think is Papyrus. We eventually have to meet him. And I mentioned before that Metaton was, like, not shown as a character, but there is a character that is sort of implied to be Metaton. And that's what you see on the bottom left here, this ghost house. You have both the Mad Dummy and the person who we think would be Metaton in here. They ask for entertainment, which supposedly you would give them in chapter 3 or 4. You have this ominous text, if you read the billboard, talking about Asgore being removed from the Force, and Undyne taking over, which lends itself to... Basically, it's another stepping stone that ties into the overall timeline of what might have happened in Chris's past before we showed up. You have Onion Sam. In the lake, he talks about this song coming from the sea that he's going to investigate and report back to you tomorrow. Who knows what that's about? You have the gate, the ornate gate that is sort of blocking the Holiday House from the rest of Hometown. It's locked, and I mean, we don't need to know much about, like, Noelle's house, but if there's a locked door here, at some point we're probably gonna get in, and we're gonna see what their house is like. And then, of course, there's the 7 fucking flowers on the bottom right corner. Let's not forget about that. Very few people talk about this, but it's pretty blatant.
Right. It's hard to know what's a red herring and what's not. There's until the game is out, we just really don't know. Another thing to look for going forward is in regards to the prophecy. Because it was mentioned, all of these people have unique roles to play in the prophecy. And the game emphasizes your choices don't change the outcome. But, like, it still influences the way things go. So it's important to identify who is supposed to be each person in the prophecy. So for the human, monster, and prince from the dark, almost certainly these three. There's like a Susie-shaped hole here. It's actually
almost... Yeah.
Like maybe the prince from the dark.
Because you see it in the concept art, actually. If you go back to the concept art, they have him by name there.
Oh, okay. I believe you. There is the angels. I could go back 80 slides and then try to, but like I trust you. It's fine. The angel's heaven is mentioned. Who is the angel? Noelle mentions wanting to grow angel wings. Her Dark World form looks kind of angel-like. She's like drawn up on the hand by Queen in crucifixy fashion. But
Noelle is literally called an angel by both the shopkeep with the freeze ring and Spampton.
Right, but then what would the angel's heaven be?
Spampton's the angel because he also grows wings.
Oh my god, you're so right.
Sorry.
Oh, put Spampton on the slide now.
So what would the angel's heaven be then? Right?
Theory.
That's the question. Like Noelle's heaven, like the ideas that people have are either Noelle is the angel and it's very straightforward, or you as the player who are exerting your control over Chris in the game and over this game world are in a way in like a higher plane of existence than these characters, and banishing the angel's heaven would be banishing you from your influence over the game's world. Then there's the Roaring Night, and people are going to get mad at me for this slide because it's probably just Chris. And people... I heard someone say with their whole chest and make like... There have been multiple videos made about how Mayor Holiday is probably the Knight. And the biggest piece of evidence is that Night Mayor sounds like Nightmare, and Jubble says there will be a nightmare that awakens in your hearts. And that's the biggest piece of evidence. Other than, like, it would be cool.
There is a lot of evidence that suggests Chris is the Knight, which is, I mean, the obvious one is we see Chris literally create a dark world at the end of chapter 2.
Right.
But there's also a lot of evidence that demonstrates that Chris isn't the Knight. Like how Rousey shows up in the cyber world and the circumstances behind that, as well as how Chris has the door closed on them at the beginning of chapter 1. Although theoretically, Chris could have themselves closed the door.
Right.
Because that only happens when you get to it.
My entire thing is, if Chris is not the Knight, and this entire game is about trying to defy the preset role made for you, in not only in like a fate versus like decision kind of way, but also a video game character defying their video game character purpose. If Chris is not the Knight, then like what's he defying? He just kind of exists. It doesn't make much sense as a character for him to not be part of a prophecy if the whole point is to try and defy that prophecy. But maybe it's Papyrus and I'm insane, and the craziest people on Earth are right, and I will apologize.
Personally, I really like Mayor. I really like Mayor Holiday Night Theory, but like there's no Night Theory that is bulletproof right now.
Right. When the next couple chapters come out, we'll probably know for sure. There's this, which I don't know if you want me to present this or you to present this.
No, I've been looking for this because I was thinking about how this shows a lot. So T has mentioned several times that we, the player, we are not Chris. And there's a few examples that showcase it. It's very minor in chapter 1, but it becomes, the only real reveal of this fact is at the very end, where Chris throws you into the cage. And you can see here, T mentioned it during the recap, but you can move inside the cage as this cutscene happens. So that's like the first obvious indication that Chris acts independently of you as a player. Then you get a lot more clear nods to this in chapter 2, where the Rudin that is in front of the dojo, when you talk to him the first time, he tells you, "Oh, welcome to X Town," where X is the name of the player. the name that you gave yourself during the Gone Recreation segment. Do you remember the very beginning with the gray dude, the bald head? So it makes it very clear that you as a player have some significance in the story outside of just controlling Chris. And it also has some implications about how Rudin could have possibly known that, which we'll get into later. You also have very clear dialogue sections, like you see in the top right, where Noelle will ask you if you want a doggy treat, and when you say yes, she gives you this really weird, like, why do they sound so genuine? If you try to open Azriel's door during that search engine bit, you see the door with your eyes closed, and if you say certain dialogue options about the festival with Susie, she gives you this reaction, like, why are you saying it so confused? And these are just some examples. There's even more of them. But there's plenty of examples where you as a player make a statement, but Chris has some control over the inflection or the nuance of that action that sort of betrays what you might have meant by it. But this idea of you not being Chris becomes super abundantly clear during the Snowgrave route, where you as a player are using proceed and dialogue options to coerce and force Noelle into these terrible things. And the two most significant instances is during the Birdley fight. During the Birdley fight, he doesn't attack Noelle because he's trying to protect her from you. That's sort of like how the story goes in the weird route. You can go down. And if that happens, he stops attacking and he tells Noelle you can switch, but she says, I can still hear their voice, which is clearly meant to indicate that she is hearing the player's commands rather than Chris's actions, because Chris is down at this point. And most notably, that I think is really cute, is during the Spampton Neo boss fight, there is a section where you have to call the other people for help at the very end. And when you do that, you try to call for Rouse and Susie, and it says, Chris called for help, Chris called for help. And then when you finally get to Noelle, Chris doesn't call for Noelle, you call for Noelle.
All right. Also, I think Dryad needs to present this slide.
Yeah, sure. I also mentioned that the player name town is very important because it sort of implies some hidden knowledge about Rouse. Rouse is a very mysterious character because there's two different situations where Rouse has, or at least tries to convince the player to go off and see what Susie's up to. First in the prison in Chapter 1, and then during the Ferris wheel scene in Chapter 2. And in both scenarios, when you cut back to Chris and Rouse has this line. So that's why. Okay, Chris? Or something along those lines, which makes it very clear that Rouse is having some private conversation about Chris. And you could tell, again, I made this slide because there's all this text about it. There's also the implication that because Rouse set up this town, Rouse is the most likely person to have given the name of the town to Rudin and the other people. So if the question is, how did Rudin know the player's name? The most obvious answer is because the person who created the town, Rouse, told him, which then leads the question, how did Rouse know our name? And the final sort of nail in the coffin that Rouse is being, let's say, deceptive, is during the scenarios where Chris or the player chooses not to follow Susie. In Chapter 1, you have to follow Susie through that scene with Lancer. You're forced to. But in the second scene, you can say you don't care, and you can just choose not to follow Susie into the cutscene with Noelle. In fact, if you're doing the weird route, Chris forces you to stay away from Noelle. And so in that scenario, Rouse begins to goad you a little bit, which is a bit uncharacteristic for Rouse, right? He's usually a very polite goat boy who doesn't really want to push anyone around. But this is the one scenario where you say no and he kind of eggs you on. He kind of like tries to push you into doing something. And I put some top theories as to what this might mean. It might mean that Rouse is telling Chris what to do without our knowledge. It might explain the actions that Chris takes after Chapter 1, after Chapter 2, sort of setting the stage in motion to fulfill like this prophecy. It could just be explanation of some deeper lore to help explain certain aspects of the world that gives Chris some knowledge, like why he's not being able to control his actions. It might explain why he knows about us. Or there might be just some general knowledge about what his plan is that he wants to share with Chris that for some reason he doesn't want the player to know. Maybe recruiting everyone gives Chris the strength to separate his connections from us, or something along those lines. You know, we only have one line about that being why. So there's a million different things that Rouse could be telling us, but it's very clear that Rouse is trying to give Chris information that he specifically doesn't want us or Susie to know.
There's even more than just that isn't on this slide. Rouse is an extremely mysterious character in general. You'd remember the plot point with Lancer where he turns into stone, and Rules Card as well, when they leave their respective Dark World. But not Ralze. Ralze can just kind of go around, and he doesn't ever say why. He just can. So there's that. He also has an understanding of game mechanics, which isn't necessarily anything. It could be just like they need to tell you to press the Y button somehow. But in Undertale, that was a big thing.
I don't know if I really like that, because a lot of Darkness do that, though. Lancer does that sometimes.
True? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Then maybe that's nothing.
But Rouse does it more than anyone else, that's for sure.
Definitely. There are also a lot of, I think a few times in the game where Ralze tries, or is it just the one crossroads in Chapter 2, where Ralze prompts the player, like, what would you like to do? And then something overrides the player's choice instead.
That might be the one where, that might be in Chapter 2 where, like, Susie forces Rouse to come with her.
Right. In general, Rouse seems to want the player to have more, like, influence over how things go.
Yeah. Another super obscure fact, in the Japanese translations, because different characters refer to Chris in different ways in Japanese because they have different, like, honorifics to speak to people, very often Rouse will use Kurisu and also refer to, I think it's Kimi? I forget the exact phrasing. I'm not great with Japanese. But he usually doesn't say Chris or you. He says both, Chris, you, in Japanese, which some people think is just being super polite, but other people think it's a nod that Rouse is referring to two people.
Interesting. Right, next slide. This is also Dryad. This is the point of the presentation where if you did the slide, you describe the thing, because it's very in the weeds. And I have more coming up.
This is where things get real deep. So, other things. We've talked about deaths quite a bit in the summary of Chapter 2, as well as in the Spamton Sweepstakes. But I think it's very interesting to showcase a lot of the more specific scenarios where death is mentioned. We talked about, for example, Noelle missing the word December in the spelling bee, which is how Birdly wins in the first place. This kind of gives us a bit of a timeline of, like, when death disappeared, because it doesn't make sense for Noelle to have, like, frozen for this particular word. You also have two very interesting scenarios where death is mentioned in Chapter 1. One is when you inspect this angel that is in Rudy's hospital room, where he mentions that Noelle and Des made it in their church's youth group. And then if you see this again with Susie in Chapter 2, Susie gets particularly pensive and quiet talking about it. So it seems like Susie might know something about this scenario, which I find kind of odd, but I'll talk about that a bit later. The second scenario is when you talk to Noelle at the end of Chapter 1 and talk about eating chalk. She mentions the story about Icy being real and eating kids and Des smacking you with a wiffle bat, which gives you a cute little personality into how Des might have acted when she was around, but it also kind of ties back into that Icy sighing that we saw in the Spamton Sweepstakes. In Chapter 2, you get the whole cutscene where Noelle spells December's name during the last puzzle before you meet up with everyone else. You get the cutscene in the Ferris wheel scene where Noelle obviously misses Des, and she talks about how they stayed up and have scary movies. And then in the red, I put some, let's say, non-canon information. We have the whole Spamton sweepstakes bit with the red guitar. We have this cute bit that I like to show in the bottom right. There is a spot in Undertale where you talk to these echo flowers. Do you remember that, Kaus? Mm-hmm. And there's one spot where these two sisters seem to be making a wish, and people... There's no clear evidence, but people like to theorize that these two people are Noelle and Des talking in this waterfall, because they talk about... They talk in the kind of way that you imagine they would talk. It's not really confirmed at all, but I thought it was neat to add. And then, in addition to the Spamton sweepstakes, what we didn't even touch on, T, was that there was a Q&A that happened where people could ask Spamton questions. And a popular YouTuber theorist for Deltarune, Dorked, asked a question about Des Holiday. And you see the response that Spamton gives. Des. That's the one that Hochi Mama always responded to Free Friend Find Her emails about, which is clearly referring to how Noelle reads her spam emails in an attempt to find Des, who is missing. And then he adds a bit of extra flavor. Sadly, I could not extract personal information for profit. I'd love to know her account number, so Spamton doesn't know about her, or at least he doesn't seem like he does.
All right.
Fun fact. One thing that I find very, very interesting is that if you skip all the optional dialogue, like you don't talk to Noelle, you don't talk to Rudy, and you do the weird route, you could go through chapter 1 and 2 without ever hearing about Des. The cutscene in the Ferris wheel, the puzzle, the spelling bee, the angel, Icy, none of that shows up if you do the weird route and skip the optional dialogue.
All right. Am I good to keep going?
Yeah, go for it. I think the next one is, of course, Mayor Holiday. So there is a particular series of dialogue in particular where we mention the mayor and also Noelle's mother. So obviously, if you remember chapter 2, there is a bit of a parallel that's sort of intentional between Queen, who is sort of manipulating Noelle and trying to force her to do Queen's bidding, and what we imagine Mayor Holiday, or rather Noelle's mother, would be like, because we get these dialogues from Rudy about, her mother's tough on her, and, Noelle's kind of defenseless about it, and Noelle also gets really defensive talking about her mother. She doesn't like it when I bother her when she's working. And you also get this dialogue from Alphys, which sort of allows you to link easily the mayor and Noelle's mother, because she says the mayor is because of the mayor that there's no crime, because the mayor is particularly tough, and she mentions explicitly that the mayor is our neighbor, and of course Noelle's our neighbor, so the mayor must be her mom, because it's obviously not Rudy. And you also have this interesting little bit where if you inspect the papers near Asgore's Flower King, you get this very aggressive eviction warning to Asgore because he's not paying his rent, because he's giving away flowers for free instead of selling them, because he's just a swell guy. I don't know. So you get these two ideas of, well, the mayor's Noelle's mother. She's tough on Noelle. She's tough on the town. We don't know very much about her, but it's clear that she's kind of cold and dismissive and authoritarian. And there's some top theories that I put down here. She's planning the festival. She might be using it as a cover for some weird dastardly scheme, like being the knight, for example. Night holiday theory, let's go. There's also obviously the family implications between her, Des, and Rudy. So she might be coping because Rudy is, of course, dying, even though he'll never say that in front of Noelle or you. And she also could be coping because of the loss of her other daughter, Des. So any of these could be explanations for why she's so cold to the town and why she's so cold to Noelle in particular. but it's clear that we're going to see her again. So let's look out for any mention of Mayor Holiday or Noelle's mother. And fun fact, because we have the C, and all the other characters' names are Christmas related or winter related, people have been like theorizing about what Mayor Holiday's full name is. Most popular theories consider it to be Carol or Cupid or Comet, something along those lines.
All right. This is also, how many of these are Triad?
These are mostly mine.
All right.
These are mostly mine.
All right, let's hot foot it a little bit. Now that we're getting like elemental pairs.
Yes. So this is another Q&A item. So there's some armors in the game. It's not very obvious, but they actually provide resistance against very specific attacks that are elemental themed. If you go to the recruit menu, which I should have put down here, the enemies have certain elements, like Mouse is Mouse. There's like Jigsawry, who's like Mouse and puzzle element. You can see it in the recruit menu. And most particular, there's Task and Task Manager, which are both cat element. So you have the mannequin, the frayed bow tie, and the deal maker. And they, for some reason, they protected against cat elemental attacks, which included Task, Task Manager, and then for some reason, Spampton Neo specifically also took less damage when you had these armors, which made people got really confused. They were like, why is Spampton Neo like being blocked by this cat armor? Is Spampton Neo a cat? Like, what's the deal? They ended up digging through the code. They found there's this elemental system where there's elements going from 0 to 10. 0 is non-elemental, so it does nothing. Every other elemental armor protects against that element, so if you have armor that protects against element 2, that's your element 2 armor. Except for two interesting cases. There's element 10, which protects from every element except for non-elemental damage. And there's element 9, which protects against specifically elements 2, 8, and 9. We don't know why. This was a big mystery about how elements worked until we got this question from SZCraft, where he asks about connections to cats, and Spampton mentions, have you heard about elemental pairs? With a valuable item, you could defend against Puppet Cat, Thunderlight, Dark Star, or Death Scythe. And this kind of helps clear a lot about how elements might work. They're in pairs, and they have some sort of common theme, like Puppet Cat, where a puppet is on strings, a cat is not on strings, almost like a reverse. There's also these ideas of like the Sky Mantle, which if you data mine it, it says it protects against holy/electric armor or holy/electric attacks, which people think is just Thunderlight's just a nod to that. So these names probably aren't one-to-one, as Spampton says. People theorize that element 10 is the hopes and dreams element because it's such a powerful force in Undertale and Deltarune. And people are expecting either Death or Scythe to be Chaos, because that's the element of Jebel. There's also some minor theories that Susie, that does root elemental attacks, and Noelle, that does ice elemental attacks, is going to be involved in elemental pair somehow.
All right.
And then now we start going into the really obscure like theories. This is no longer list like things we should look out for, like new elemental pairs or new characters we know about. These are just theories. Here's your spreadsheet that you were looking for.
Yay! So I wonder who made this.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that there's the obvious connection between Queen and Noelle's mother as being a controlling force that is trying to, in a misguided attempt, like improve Noelle's life. But there is a lot of evidence that kind of connects Queen to all the Lightners in their own unique ways. So people have tried to use Queen's interactions with the other Lightners to gain a bit of insight to how that particular Lightner's familial relationships are. So Chris is probably the most obvious one because we know Toriel very well. And we see some examples of interactions between Queen and Chris where Queen has no idea what Chris actually likes or doesn't really know what they are in particular, which kind of reflects how Toriel tends to treat Chris when it comes to raising them. You see an example of that if you go into the library. There's a book called How to Care for a Human, and it's shown that your mother, or Toriel, took it out like a bunch of times. And then there's this one's a bit more contested, but there's a.
I am gonna need to
humorous,
stop you for a second. We're dropping a ton of frames.
Okay.
Just because it is now storm time.
Oh no.
Storm time is hit.
Damn. I'll have to speed things up. All right. Do we want to like give it a pause?
For a moment, yeah. I don't know what's going on with my connection. Because I'm still connected in Discord.
Okay.
Well, the connection is bad in Discord.
Yeah,
I'm
you seem
seeing
fine
now.
to me.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's very up and down. Right now, from looking at my OBS, it's looking like it is extremely spotty, and maybe just not showing frames at all.
Damn. Okay. What do we want to do about it?
I am.
We got like what 10 slides left, maybe.
Yeah, 10 slides exactly. I'm looking. There's a lot of buffering on YouTube, but because alright, it might be okay. We might be fine. Let's try and be fairly quick. I hate to rush you through your slides.
No worries. I'm the one who put all the text here, so it's my responsibility to rush through them. So the other, let's say, funny inside joke is that Toriel's kind of like a party animal. You get this scenario when you talk to Rudy about how crazy your mother is or how crazy Toriel is during the college years, and you get this dialogue with Papyrus in the Undertale alarm clock dialogue. But this is a bit of a darker turn when you compare that to Queen's like crazy acid alcoholism benders that tends to really show up more prominently whenever Chris is by themselves. Then you have Birdly. Birdly's the most obvious comparison because Birdly literally treats Queen like a parent, and Queen literally is dismissive as a parent. You can see a lot in a lot of the text where you fight Birdly in the roller coaster. Birdly is constantly interacting with Queen, and Queen is constantly ignoring him. He's seeking Queen's approval